And we are live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to ABL Live. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. You could be almost anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me live on the show, and I appreciate y'all for that. We got a whole lot going on all over the internets, all over mainstream media, social media, everywhere, and I don't know where to start. First of all, Nikki Haley versus the Civil War. The things that sparked the Civil War, what really happened. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later. Also, several big city mayors have come out against the Biden administration over the migrant crisis. Do they have a leg to stand on? Will anybody really hear their cries? We'll talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later. Also, Trump is fighting to stay on ballots in several states. The most recent one where there is an issue for some reason is Maine, really randomly. We'll get to that a little bit more, a little bit later. Also, Tucker Carlson unloaded the chopper, unloaded the big pistol, the heavy weapons, the big guns on Ben Shapiro and many others who are strangely, preoccupied with foreign conflict. We'll talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later. And we have quite a few clips that I have not shown on any videos that you're going to see right here exclusively. We got some funny stuff. We got some interesting stuff. We got a little bit of everything in between. So y'all hang tight. And we're going to talk about a whole lot more on tonight's episode of ABL Live. And I thank y'all yet again for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these internets. If you like what you're hearing thus far, if you enjoy the content in general, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. That will help me out tremendously. We got a whole lot going on tonight. I got a pretty good show queued up. A lot of my new videos and everything right over here, ready to get rocking and rolling. So thank y'all again for joining. If you enjoyed the content, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Now, before we get to everything, shout out to the sponsors, of course. Shout out to patriotpost.us, your best source of news and information anywhere on these internets. Their link will be in the box, or just type in patriotpost.us in your browser bar. Tell them that ABL sent you. Also go to the merch website, ablmerch.com. That is ablmerch.com. We got the hats, the t-shirts, stickers, the hoodies, mugs, and more right there on the website. Again, ablmerch.com. Also, go to my regular website, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN.com. Go to the front page of the website. We have articles for each video that I produce. You'll be able to find sources from left, right, independent, local, national, international, whatever you want. I got it. Full videos, I got it. Anything that I can post that's legal will be on the website for 100% free all the time, never a charge. AnthonyBLogan.com. Also, go to the contact page, AnthonyBLogan.com/contact, to find my email address, my snail address, my social media accounts, my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, never going to call it X ever. All that good stuff will be right there on the contact page, AnthonyBLogan.com/contact. And as I always say in every single live stream, if you're ever wondering if you're conversing with me on these interwebs or not, the best thing to do would be to go to the contact page and cross-reference. Okay, does the email match? My email is really easy to remember, and if you can't remember it, it's on the website. Always contact@AnthonyBLogan.com. Again, contact@AnthonyBLogan.com. I get a lot of you guys' emails. I may not always respond, but I do get them. Please forgive me. I get flooded with emails. I get a lot of stuff that come to my email address, but that's my email address. Now, if I post a new video on YouTube or whatever, and you post a comment on the video, and then someone replies to your comment, that's usually how it goes. You never really get hit up randomly on your channel without that happening first. I'll post a video, you comment, and then someone replies. The person may have stolen my picture. They may have a name that's similar to mine, and then they contact you talking about, hey, Are you interested in Forex? Are you interested in X, Y, and Z, some kind of get rich quick scheme? If you send me $10,000, I'll give you $10,125 back. Basically $125 for $10,000. That kind of stuff right there is obviously a scam. I will never, ever ask you to invest in me talking about I'll give you some money back. Now, if you want to donate, I have everything on my website and things right here on my actual YouTube video. See right here, super chat. Thank you guys already for super chatting. You could do that if you want to, and I greatly appreciate it. Every red cent counts, and I thoroughly, thoroughly appreciate it. You could be a member of the page, but what you're not going to do, what you shouldn't do, is give some random person on the internet some money through some janky email account. Okay, I'm a Nigerian scammer, and I wear sandals in December at hotmail.com. That is not going to be who you need to be contacting, okay? Nor is the email, I'm a Lithuanian eating a big bowl of borscht on the ground and I weigh 10,975 pounds at outlook.com. If those emails are contacting you or it kind of feels like that, don't give them any money. Don't get scammed. This will be the last live stream of 2023. Let's not go into 2024 with a scam on our record. We're not going to go for that. We work too hard for our money. So you guys, please, please, please keep all your monies and don't let a scammer get it unless you want to be gracious to give it to me. But if you want to do that, there's ways to do it right here on the video. Don't get scammed. Ain't nobody got no time for that. And also, happy early New Year. As I said, this would be the last show of 2023. Tomorrow, New Year's Eve. And then on Monday, January 1st, 2024. Where did the year go? I feel like it was just 2020. We were just covering the election. A lot of you guys were here for that stream. Thank y'all for joining. That was probably the 2020 election was probably my biggest stream ever. I mean, that was a crazy night. It was really wild. We were on here for hours. It was really an event. But that feels like yesterday almost. And we're approaching the next one. In less than 1 year's time, in less than 12 months, we will be back with another election. Okay. Now, I know people talking about calendars and other kind of weird stuff on social media, but the bigger thing here is the election that's coming about in 2024. Okay. We're going to get to the We're going to get to the ballot kerfuffle in a little bit. So shout out to you guys. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Let me see. I see a donation right here that kind of caught my eye. Shout out to Patch Duress. Patch Duress says, good video earlier this afternoon about Tucker and Sagar from Breaking Points. Gotta knows who has an allegiance to your own country. Hilarious you mentioned Cal Kalinske as if he mattered. He's in every lefty on YouTube. Oh, he's very lefty on YouTube. Well, shout out to him. Yeah, the reason why I mentioned him is because I just didn't know that he was married to Crystal Ball. I thought it was pretty interesting information. All right. So shout out to you. I appreciate you for your super chat. And shout out to Nick Corio, who says, is it too much to say that maybe both Hamas and other Israeli government are evil? Or am I considered anti-Semitic for saying that? That's my point. My point is, I don't see the moral high ground. I don't see one side as being better or superior or somehow the good versus the evil. I don't really see that. I see governments, military. That's what I see. I see a conflict happening. I don't see some kind of biblical prophecy coming through, but that's just me. So don't nobody sue me. Don't nobody call me anti-Semitic for having that point of view. It is what it is. And shout out to Ryan Walker, who says, as a Texan, we should remove Biden from the ballot. Now, you know what? My thing is, let's not remove anybody from the ballot, okay? I know you're probably just joking, but if someone is elected by the people, then let them be on the ballot, especially when the reason for the person being taken off the ballot is invalid. If it's a valid, legitimate, legal reason, then rock and roll. The law is a law, but you can't say that Trump should be removed from the ballot when the reason does not hold water legally. Okay, they're trying to say that they're trying to say that he violated the Constitution, but how? How did he do that, really? I don't really understand. They're saying, okay, if you are in an insurrection, if you are involved with the insurrection, then you're not eligible for the ballot. But did he get convicted? You see, the insurrection thing is just a matter of opinion, because if you don't have a conviction, all you have is an opinion. Hey, I think this person did that. This person is a suspect in the crime. I think he did it. I believe he did it. Okay, cool. But check it out. You can't put somebody in the penitentiary, big rocks, little rocks, off of a feeling, off of a hunch, off of an opinion. You got to have evidence. The thing called due process, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. And then if you're proven guilty in the court of law, you get sentenced. And if there's any consequences after that, then you suffer the consequences, but not until you get convicted. But, you know, we got kind of weird rules in this country. People like George Santos getting expelled from Congress before he's proven guilty of the crimes he's accused of. It's pretty interesting, but I digress. Let's keep on rocking here. Now, we got a few videos we're going to get into. I'm going to talk more about the ballot kerfuffle a little bit later. All right. Yeah. Running on emotions. I'm not really into that, Bina. We got to run on facts all day long. And you're right. They always do run on emotions, but that's not how we're supposed to do things in this country. We got due process, innocent to proven guilty. And I would say that for anybody, it doesn't matter. They could be the worst person on planet Earth. It could be George Soros. It could be Biden. It could be Barack Hussein. It doesn't matter who it is. Everyone has due process in this country. Now, if we're going to make exceptions, oh, well, they have due process, but they don't. See, now we into Banana Republic type stuff. And we're kind of waiting down that territory already if we're not fully enveloped in it as we speak. But again, I digress. Now, we got a few videos. Now, check it out. A rogue wave hit Ventura, California, injuring 8 people, but nobody got deleted. Now, imagine you're on the beach, hanging out, minding your business in your bikini, Bryson Gray, in your bikini, or your swim trunks, no shirt on, chilling, soaking up the breeze, and then you're seeing this crazy wave come at you at full speed. And one thing about that water, when that water is coming at you, that ocean water is scary. You know, I've seen some big waves on the beach. I've seen some things and some stuff. It's scary for sure. You don't really realize the magnitude of water on the ocean until you're right up on it, or a big lake or something like that. But definitely the ocean. It's crazy. Let's check it out. Uh-oh. Now look, there's a seawall right here, and this little sign says no stopping anytime. Now, I'm not sure if that's for vehicles. It's probably for vehicles because I think they know that the water could go above the seawall right here. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Fucking Christ. God. God. Now, a little word to the wise. If you're ever in this kind of situation, when you see like a bunch of water coming at you, seek higher ground. Seek higher ground. So if there's a hill, which probably is not going to be a hill on the water like this, it could be, but I doubt it on the beach. Seek higher ground. That's going to be your best bet. Okay. Now, if you got a tsunami or something like that, then it don't really matter. You might as well just try to just try to do something to not get deleted. Hold on to a pole or something, because it's gonna be a lot of water. So if you could find a tree, one of these trees maybe, or I wouldn't say a utility pole, but something high. You keep running forward and the wave keep coming forward. That's not the best place to be, in my opinion. Jesus. Look at that. Okay, I thought the vehicle was being pushed. I think the vehicle was just driving away. Yeah, the vehicle's driving. Oh my God. Yeah, you might not be out of harm's way there, but because what can happen is, if the wave knocks down a power line and the power line's hot and the power line's in the water and the water keeps going and you touching the water, now you got a big electric pool. You don't want to touch that electrified water at all.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back that way. I wouldn't go back that way. I don't think the wave was strong enough to knock any power lines down, but I'm not going back that direction because you're going to have all kind of debris and stuff in that water. Yeah, I'm not going back that way after that kind of wave has hit. I'm going to just stay over here. All right, so shout out to him. You see how quick that wave hit? You got cars. These cars are probably flooded and damaged. A lot of these regular sedans with water up that high, that salt water, that's going to be damaging to your vehicle. It might not be that high because you could kind of see the bumpers. Yeah, it's not that high. It's just kind of enough to coat the ground right there. Now, going down that way, I think I see a vehicle that's pretty much covered in water, at least, beyond the wheel well. Exactly. That's something else, Jesse. It could be another one coming. So I wouldn't go back that way. Like if you just saw a big wave hit, there could be another one coming. Like let's say it was a small tsunami. A tsunami is when there's an earthquake. And when the earthquake happens, there's aftershocks. So I would just stay away from that area for a little while. I'm not going to go back that direction, but that's just me. Yeah, that was a small one. That's not really a big deal. But if you've never seen that before, it's definitely going to be pretty scary. But if it was me, I'm on top of that white truck right there, for sure. Well, you know what? I probably would run because if I'm on top of the truck, I'm still a little bit too close to where the wave hit. I'm gonna try to go out and then find something high to get on at that point. But yeah, shout out to everybody out there. This was in Ventura, California. So shout out to them. Now, a lot of you guys have been away for the holidays. You've seen your friends and family. And you may have some woke relatives who could do some interesting things. You may have some newly created they-thems in your family. One time you go to your uncle's house on Thanksgiving or Christmas, you see your relative just kind of chilling, not really bothering nobody. And then you starting to see every time you go back, there's a new change. There's something else going on. And then the last time you come to your uncle's house, to your grandma's, to your meemaw's house, your family member, your cousin, or whatever has done a full change. It's like they were developing from a little baby wolf to teen wolf, Michael J. Fox, okay? A whole werewolf. From teen wolf, the beginning stages, to a full-blown werewolf. And we might have that right here. This could be the final boss of the they-thems in your family. Now, check it out. I want you to hear what this person says. Once you hear their remarks, I'm going to ask you a question and see what would happen if this was your family. What would you do? Check it out.
So your family thinks they're going to get away with dead naming you and misgendering you this holiday season? No, they're not. You know why? Because you're deranged kazoo kid. You play a wind instrument. You take your mouthpiece and you just anytime the wrong pronouns or the wrong name comes out, and you be obnoxious as shit because they'll stop real quick.
Okay, so you heard what this person said. They said, hey, you know what? If anyone dead names you over the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, you are the crazy wind instrument kid taking out your flute or whatever you got in your pocket, and you're going to just blow your instrument right in their face, and then they'll stop. Now, check it out. I'll play it one more time for you guys so we can get it, and then I'm going to ask my question, okay? Because I got a question, and I think you guys know what it's going to be.
So your family thinks they're going to get away with dead naming you and misgendering you this holiday season? No, they're not. You know why? Because you're deranged kazoo kid. You play a wind instrument. You take your mouthpiece and you just anytime the wrong pronouns or the wrong name comes out, and you be obnoxious as shit.
Okay, so what do you guys think? The person says, if your family dead names you, you pull your flute or whatever kind of instrument you have, you're going to pull that out and just blow it right quick, right in their face, and they're going to stop. Now, check it out. If that's in my family and you do something, you do that to Mima or somebody, man, you're going to be right at the edge of being deleted. You'll be right at the edge of being deleted. Somebody's 4'11" Mima is going to toss you upside down and inside out. She will turn you every which way but loose up in the kitchen. Pies and turkey legs and stuffing and cranberry sauce will be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. Okay. You can't do that everywhere. Don't do stuff like that. I'm sorry, Ross or Rose or whatever your new name is. They, them, Zers, Zim, Bob. I don't care about none of that. Okay. Meemaw over here can barely remember regular names. Here you come with a brand new name every 6 months to a year. I saw you last year. You had that whole androgynous male look. Then you wanted to come with some kind of halfway female look. You were known as Ross, then Rose, then Zay Zim. I can't remember all that stuff. It reminds me of the whole airport kerfuffle. Pardon me for being confused, sir, ma'am, whatever your pronouns are. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Ryan Reynolds. I'm looking at Chris Pratt. I'm looking at George of the Jungle in front of my face, but you telling me your name is Sarah. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused. What you're not going to do is take a wind instrument and blow that in my face, okay? That's going to be tossed over there. So shall you. But yeah, so I think I got the answer to my question, which was, what would family do? Would you have a respectful family that would just accept the wind instrument in the face? Oh, I'm sorry, we're so apologetic, we're not going to call you the dead name anymore. Or would they go a different direction and say, you know what, you're not going to do that in here, sir, Zer, whatever your pronouns are. You're not going to do that to me, Ma, or Pawpaw, okay? And if you want to do it again, you're going to get tossed out this plate glass window like your main man Charles Barkley did back in the 90s. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, we're not going to do that. Now, this was an interesting TikTok from somebody. I've said before that TikTok is the Antichrist. TikTok is a virus on your phone. Back in my day when I was a youngin', all we had was desktop computers, no laptops, no smart. Here's old man shakes fist at cloud. Back in my day, we walked 15 miles to the school in snow with no shoes. Okay, it was 1,000 degrees below zero. We had no shoes, no socks, no coat, no hat. We barely had t-shirts. Okay, t-shirts and a pair of pants as a uniform. That's all we had going to school, and we walked 45 miles in the snow. It was crazy. It was an event every morning. That's how I sound right now. But anyway, back in my day, when I was a kid, there was no phones. My first, for the youngins out there, my first cell phone I was 18 years old. My first cell phone. Hold on. And I'm going to show you my first cell phone I had. It was none of this jazz right here. No, I'm going to tell you how old I am. I did not have my first full screen smartphone until 2018. Lying to you not. I was so old, I was hanging on to my BlackBerry. It had half of the touch screen with just that piece on the top and the full physical keyboard. That's what I had until 2018. Okay, I had to get bullied into getting a smartphone, and I didn't have my first iPhone really until, I want to say 2021, maybe. Before that, it was Androids. I had Huawei, just garbage. A blue phone, BS, complete BS. But I'm gonna show you my very first cell phone. All right. I had a Kyocera with an antenna. Let me see if I can actually find it. It was something like this. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It was something like this. This is my very first cell phone. back in like, I want to say 2002. Yeah, 2002. I was 18, my very first cell phone. A lot of you guys are still in diapers, Pampers, or whatever. Or maybe you had kids my age. I got a pretty good age range in the chat. But yeah, that was my first cell phone right there. Something just like that with the antenna. I'll never forget it. Yep. So anyway, my point is that a lot of the technology we have today, it wasn't around. In my day, we had desktop computers only, and viruses were a big thing. We had to get antivirus, and it was a real deal. You could be on the internet, you'd be on AOL somewhere, clicking on the link. Next thing you know, you got a virus, your whole computer shuts down. There was a whole Y2K scare. Everybody thought they were going to die on New Year's Eve of the year 2000 from 99. That little transition time, it was a crazy time. But now, the idea of a computer virus is kind of a thing of the past. But we still have viruses. And one big virus, in my opinion, is the application called TikTok. That's a virus. Now, here is a fine young gentleman talking about the idea of gender identity coming from the white man. That's right. He says that back in the day in Africa, before the white man came, there was no such thing as gender. It's a white creation. He said that for real. I'm going to show him, and then I'm going to show a reality check for the young man.
White.
Or whatever his pronouns are. I don't want to misgender this obvious male, but let's keep on watching.
People ruined most of everything.
Hold on, let me start from the top.
White people ruined most of everything. Before Europeans colonized the globe, thousands of indigenous peoples acknowledged and celebrated multiple gender identities as part of their culture. Not only did Europeans spread religion to get others to convert to their ideologies, but the idea of the gender man and woman was also a European ideology. That was one of the tools of the colonization process. And then men and women became the standardized gender identity as what we now know today. White people ruined.
So basically, he says that the white man invented the idea of gender, okay? And just like religion, which is not, Europeans did spread religion, but so did the Arabs. How you think Islam spread to Africa? Just by, it was already right there, or did they come from somewhere and bring it? But anyway, he says that the white man invented the idea of gender and brought that to Africa. So before the white man came, we were just reproducing and living as human beings without the concept of male and female, which makes no sense. Okay, now let's take a reality check right here. Shout out to Matt Walsh. This is from his documentary, What is a Woman?, where I'm not really sure where they went. You guys, if you know where he went, y'all let me know. I don't want to say the wrong country in Africa, but he went to Africa and spoke to Native people about this whole idea of gender identity. And Matt Walsh, if you're watching, do not, please, sir, do not give me a copyright claim on the video. I beg. Come on, we're on the same team. Team conservative, right? Let's check it out.
What if a man decides that his gender identity is woman?
A woman has its own duty, and a man has its own duty, and a lady cannot do the duty of a man, and a man cannot do a duty of a woman.
So basically, they're talking to one of the elders in the town, in the tribe, and it's being translated, and he's talking about gender roles here. This is a thing that has been around since the dawn of man. It's not anything new. It's not coming from the white man, the black man, the brown man, the Puerto Rican Candy Stripe man. This is a thing that is this is a thing that is common sense throughout the entire world, throughout the entirety of humanity.
Can a man become a woman?
No.
No?
No.
So very simple. Can a man become a woman? He asked the elder. And he's like laughing at the questions. Just like, really? No, a man cannot become a woman. Okay.
What about a transgender?
Okay.
Transgender?
No.
No.
It look like if you want to become a lady but you're a man, you have something wrong in your.
So you heard that. It's like, look, transgender, look, if you're a man and you want to become a lady, something's wrong. So, I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist. You don't got to go to Harvard or Yale. Actually, you know the funny part? Somebody in the comments was joking saying, hey, well, they hadn't been to school, ABL. How would they know any different? It was a joke. But the funny part is, if they were to actually go to school, what they will learn is the exact opposite of what biology teaches us. If you go to a Harvard or Yale or whatever, they would tell you, yes, you can be a man and give birth to a baby. A ridiculous thing that we were all taught in school, if you're my age or right around that, or if you went to a regular school not infested with SJWs, we were told that's not how it works. We were told women have babies and men can produce the sperm, fertilize the egg. This is basic stuff that we learned in school, in grade school. And I come from hood schools. We learned that. We got books we can read. It's not, you don't have to go. But again, if you go to Harvard, Yale, whatever, they'll say the exact opposite of what biology says.
Wrong. Something wrong in your family, something wrong in you.
What about if someone was non-binary?
Come again?
Non-binary? Do you know?
It's like, what's that? Hold on. I got to rewind. That was the funny part.
Wrong. Something wrong
Listen.
in your family, something wrong in you.
What about if someone was non-binary?
Come again?
Non-binary? Do you know? Like non. Like someone is.
You're not a woman, you're not a man.
Yeah, someone is neither. There's something else. Is that?
Itu bro, aman na kita main na yole peria gwan topis. He's saying we have never seen things like those. For a man, he has a penis. For a woman, he has a vagina. So we know this is a lady, this is a man.
What if it's a woman with a? What if it's a woman with a penis?
What?
Is that?
Kita main na begering giro, entabo.
People are laughing. Is that?
They busted out laughing at it. They busted out laughing. He was like, hey, you could be a woman with a penis, right? That could be a thing. He's asking these people about that. They're busting out laughing. Because that's what you should do to a question like that, is laugh, because it's nonsense. Total nonsense. But my man earlier was saying that the white man came to Africa and invented the idea of gender. Is that so? Really? I can't tell. They look pretty native and tribal to me. They've probably been there since the beginning. Everybody understands this except for the more advanced, quote unquote, advanced cultures. We don't understand some basic things. We understand very complex things. We can go to the moon allegedly, but we don't know what a man or woman is now.
Is that a dumb question?
So yeah, shout out to them. I'm not sure where they are in Africa, what country, what tribe, or anything like that. If you guys know, y'all let me know. I want to say the Maasai, but I'm not quite sure. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So shout out to them. That was right on it. And that is pretty much the thought process throughout the entire world. Now, let's get a little bit of a check on the West. Let's get a check on America and see what we think about gender identity. Not all you guys understand what's going on, but many of us do not know what's happening. Many of us are still kind of confused. Check it out.
The gender reveal won't happen anytime soon.
We did not assign a sex at birth, which means when they were born, they had genitals and we know what they are. We just chose to acknowledge that those genitals don't indicate anything about gender.
Meet Sparrow, a smiling, curious, adorable 11-month-old baby.
Thank you, ER, Maasai Warriors. Is that Kenya? Shout out to you. I appreciate it.
It's a baby? Your next question might be, is Sparrow a boy or girl?
Can I see Elmo?
The answer,
Can I see Elmo?
to be determined.
My own mother did not know Sparrow's genitals for the first 3 months.
Genitals, though? I mean, I don't like... does your child not have the correct parts? I don't understand what's going on. And beyond genitals, this thing called hormones, XXXY. Okay, you, ma'am, gave birth to a baby, I suppose. You have XX chromosomes. Your gender is deeper than just what's downstairs. That's kind of a gross thought process to have, honestly. Your gender is deeper than what you have downstairs. Your bone structure, your brain chemistry, your hormones, your average height, weight, fat distribution, it's all different. It's just we're different beyond just what's downstairs. Much different, vastly different.
Even though she was living with us at the time.
You're doing so good.
Sparrow's parents decided to raise their baby gender neutral, meaning Sparrow.
And since when did the word they refer to as singular? You see, when we're learning, I'm on Duolingo, right? Shout out to Duolingo. I like Duolingo. I'm learning Spanish. I'm in the beginning stages. I'm doing pretty good, pretty accurate, pretty speedy. What if I'm learning English? And then I got to learn pronouns, they, them, he, her, he, his, she, her, whatever. And then I'm learning, okay, if a person identifies as something else other than what they were born, then you might say they, depending upon what that person wants. They could identify as a they could identify as a she, they could identify as a he. It's totally confusing. English is already hard enough. A lot of our words sound the same. 2, 2, and 2. 4, 4, and 4. FOO, FOUR, FOR, FORE. TWO, TO, TOO. It's very confusing. Then you want to have this extra layer when you use a plural for a singular. It's stupid.
Will decide gender when older. Even Sparrow's birth certificate says sex unknown. The gender.
So yeah, there we go. So that's what's happening in the West. Obviously, the Maasai over there in Kenya had it, kind of down pat the way that every person, the way we had it in America up until the past few years. I feel like during the scamdemic, people got bored and wanted a new way to express themselves. And now you have obvious women who have babies say, you know what? I'm not a woman anymore. I identify as they, them. It's dumb. I identify as more than one person, although I'm not. I mean, last time I checked, if you had more than one identity, that made you mentally ill. You would get put up in some kind of institution in a little white room with the little jacket on, Hannibal Lecter style. But I guess that's a thing of the past, right? Anyway, I digress. Now, speaking about the West and parenting, here's I guess you would say, controversial video. It's been around for a while. It's kind of an older video, but it's making the rounds on Twitter. And I think Instagram might have been there lately. But this is of a boy being disciplined by a man. Now, I'm not sure who the man is. The man could be his father or whatever. But the boy's being disciplined, and some say it's too much. Some say it's just enough. But I'm going to play it, and I'm going to ask for you guys' opinion on what's happening here. Now, RP in advanced headphone users, let's go ahead and roll it.
Like she crazy, cursing at her, telling her what you won't do. You won't clean your room. You won't do what you want to do. And you talk to your mother like that? Like you tough? Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you're tough, don't you? Boss up on me. Cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you. You ain't gonna do it to me? Why you do it to her? Why you talk to her disrespectfully? Why? Little boy, answer me. Why do you talk to your mother disrespectfully? You don't know why you do it. Today I'm going to help you find out why. And today it ends. Today it ends. Do you understand? You will not call your mother out of her name ever again.
All right, so there's a video. Now, I had watched some of that, but this is my first time watching it all the way through. I have an opinion. I'm gonna go a tad bit off the reservation. First of all, it's necessary this is why you gotta have a 2-parent household, I could pretty much guarantee there's no father in the house, like every day in the house. Okay. And this boy probably about 7, 8 years old. He's getting to the age where he needs to go be with his father. Let me just explain what's happening. So a little bit of context. The boy is talking really badly to his mother, and then this man is coming in to discipline him. Now, I don't think he's his father. Might just be a male figure in his life, yeah? So he's giving them discipline to say, hey, don't speak to that way to your mother. But the problem is not necessarily the boy. It's the fact that there's no father. You see, if there was a father in the house, then this wouldn't even be happening. He wouldn't even be having to speak to his mother in a certain way, because without a father there, what happened is the boy filled a void, the son husband type stuff going on. So then the role that the father would play is being disciplinarian as far as setting rules is often taken on by the son, but the son has no authority over the mother. Then it becomes a conflict. This is why there's got to be one of two things got to happen. One of two things got to happen. The first thing, he can go stay with his father. He's probably about 7, 8 years old. It's time. Go ahead and go over there. He could be about 9 or 10. It doesn't really matter. He's getting to the point where it's like almost middle school time, late, 4th, 5th grade. Okay, now go stay with your father. Or there needs to be a 2-parent household. If it's just him and the mom, this will continue. This man could come here and give him the advice and say, don't speak to your mother that way. But the problem is still going to persist because there is no male leadership in the house. That's the problem. That is the ultimate issue here. Okay. Especially if it's just him in the house. If he has no siblings and it's just him, he's taking all the brunt of her mood swings, psycho-hormonal balance, just shifting. He's going to take all of that. And he has no real way of being able to deal with it as a boy while trying to fill a male role. Okay, that's the issue. So yeah, that's my take on it. I have a little bit of a different take on that because I understand that situation. I've seen it a lot. I've seen that kind of thing play out in real life, and I know what really causes it. The boy just needs to be in a different situation. That's all. And shout out to you guys who say I'm right. Yeah, that's all that it is. That's all that it is. He looks 10 ER. He might be about 10. Like I say, at that point, go stay with your father. I guarantee you, if he was to be up under his father, it wouldn't be no need for the constant in-your-face type parenting because the father would just lay down the law. Like me, if I had children, like I don't really play no games. I'm going to lay down the law. I'm not going to be all in your face, yelling and screaming at you. You're going to know what it is from the jump. Okay? You're going to know what it is from the jump. Like I tell you guys a story all the time about my nieces when they got into an argument, just a little basic stuff that kids do, nothing really major. We go to the park, take my nieces to the park, and when we come back, they're just fighting like sisters do. And to sit at one particular part in my truck or the other. So they squabbling, going back and forth. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'll be like, hey, you sit right there, you sit right there. That's what I said, and then it was done. Now, my one niece got mad. She's in the back pouting. But then when we got back to the house, she gave me a big hug, jumped on me because she understood that she needed that type of direction. Not yelling, not screaming, just stern but loving. When you don't have that male leadership in the house, it'd be a bunch of women squabbling, or it'd be a woman squabbling at this boy, and he has no way of being able to assert himself as a man because he's not a man yet. He's going to try, but he has no way of doing it. Anyway, I digress. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. That will help me out tremendously. Now, let's go to the border a little bit, and we're going to get back to the border after this particular one here. So I thought this kind of thing only existed in like India or Nigeria somewhere with a bunch of people, the tuk-tuks or whatever. I thought this only existed over there. But if you see these migrants with no bags, no luggage, no nothing, maybe they have a book bag at best. They might got a bag with food in it, some water or something like that. Real basic stuff. They don't have all their earthly possessions on them, right? So here is where their luggage could be. Let's check it out. And RIP in advance headphone users.
Here we are in Eagle Pass. That guy right there, he carries all the people's bags across, so when they get here, they don't have to carry their bags. That's his job.
So they're in Eagle Pass, Texas, and this guy has a bunch of luggage piled on top of a truck. He has a pickup truck that's piled to the top, in the back, in the bed, and then there's a trailer that's also piled to the top with a tarp over both to keep it dry, I suppose. That's Eagle Pass, Texas. So when the migrants go across in an organized fashion by the thousands per hour, per day, their luggage is brought across just like how it would be on the plane, right? It's like the same thing as the cargo area of a plane in the truck. Again, that's Eagle Pass, Texas. This is not India. This is not Africa. It's not somewhere like that where you would expect to see a scene like this. No, Eagle Pass, Texas, right here in the USA. Okay. Now, my question is, how'd you even get across the border? Or are you right at the border trying to get across? I would presume you got to be able to get across the border like that. So you just let all that get across the border. I mean, what in the world's going on? But hey, that's what's happening at the border. The border's a mess. And shout out to your main man, Joe Biden, for making it happen. Now, let's go to the Bronx, South Bronx, South Bronx. And let's see what they say about Donald Trump. Check it out.
Part of President Trump's re-election strategy is cutting into traditional Democrat strongholds. Shortly after Newsmax found surprising support for the former president in the Bronx, we found out that he was considering doing a rally here. We joined the New York City Young Republican president, Gavin Wax, to find out more.
Listen, Kara, Make America Great Again, it includes the South Bronx, believe it or not. It's for all Americans. I think this is why it's great that President Trump wants to visit the South Bronx for some sort of rally. It shows that he cares. President Trump and I had been speaking recently about, his prospects in New York City. There was a poll that came out that showed him within the single digits. So we talked a bit about that. I mentioned, the interviews you did on the street in the South Bronx, where there was a lot of support for President Trump. People were very excited about him. It was something that people hadn't really seen before. It was something new. It was something novel.
Free my son, Trump! Free my son, Trump!
He went and watched it after our gala. He shared an article commenting on your interviews, and I think it got him very excited. He kind of said, well, let's do a rally in the South Bronx. I said, sure, let's do it.
If President Trump came here to the South Bronx, would you attend the rally?
Of course. I would want to meet Trump. I want to shake his hand.
He's the only president that I see that can ever make America great again. He's capable of doing that.
Bonjour, mon ami. Hey, Sean, bonjour, mon ami.
I would love to go to a rally with Donald Trump come, because I'm a big Donald Trump supporter, and I will support him 100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely we're going to show him love. We're going to show him a lot of love, and, like they do in other states. We definitely need to see Trump here.
There's nothing but love for Donald Trump here in the South Bronx, the North Bronx, the East Bronx, and the West Bronx.
So, tell me...
We want Trump to come back. Please, bro. Biden, get out of here, bro. I would come to the rally and support Trump, because the Bronx need a change, and we need somebody that's really going to help this community.
I would definitely come to a Trump rally in the South Bronx. I like him.
You do?
Yes.
Yes, I will come to a rally if President Trump was to come to the Bronx, and I also would bring other people to come too and support him.
Would Joe Biden get a warm reception if he came to the Bronx?
No, he wouldn't have. And I'll make sure of that.
Reporting for Newsmax in the South Bronx, New York, I'm Kara Castronova.
So shout out to Trump and shout out to the South Bronx. We're going to see, I would love to see a rally in the South Bronx. And beyond the rallies, beyond all that, let's get the voting in the right direction. I want to see some voter turnout and have people out there vote for Trump rather than Biden, because this guy, Biden, is not doing anything for the country at all, let alone Bronx, New York City. And also Bronx, New York City, you got to get your man Eric Adams out of there, get a Giuliani type character back in office, because y'all need it. Y'all are being inundated with the entire third world, Africa, Asia, Europe, wherever. You guys are being inundated. 150,000 migrants in the past 18 months. Y'all can't sustain that. Y'all got 10,000 migrants being dumped in QB in the housing projects. Y'all can't sustain that. Y'all having a dinner in QB with, what it said, it was a dinner or a meal for 2,000 people, and you got 10,000 new migrants. You guys are going to the dinner an hour beforehand. They've been out there all night waiting on it. They're going to get the resources that you are needing yourself. So hopefully you guys in New York City vote differently, aside from just Trump, aside from the 2024 presidential election, vote differently when it comes to everything, governor, senators, mayor, etc. But I digress. How far is the Bronx from Harlem? I don't know. You guys in the city, y'all let me know. I'm not familiar with the space in between boroughs and everything else. But matter of fact, I think the Bronx is right north of Harlem. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's to the north and east of Harlem. Yeah, I think. Yeah, because Harlem basically Manhattan. It's like, okay, you go Manhattan, Harlem, Bronx. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Right across the river. What's this? The Harlem River. Yeah. You got the Harlem River, and then to the east of that, you got the Bronx. So yeah, it's right there. All right, so let's keep on going. We got a few more things happening. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. All right, let's keep on rocking and rolling. Now, let me see. This is something from the UK. Like, shout out to the UK. Shout out to the brethren them in UK. The knife crime out there is crazy. You know, they say they don't have guns or whatever, and that's fine. I guess it's easy to control guns on an island nation like that. A little different over here where we're kind of built on guns and we're not an island nation. But I think there's a loophole that allows you to carry these big knives around. You guys who know more about it, let me know in the comments. But I saw this video. It was pretty interesting. All right, let's check it out. RIP headphone users. I know I was already loud already. I could hear it in my thing.
I'm now brandishing in front of you a 21-inch, brutal-looking black knife. It is sharp, believe you me.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
It's terrifying. If someone approached me with that, I would think it was the end of my days.
It is one of the most scary things that I've ever held in my hand.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it.
Horrific.
I bought this online for £23.49, entirely legally. And I had it sent to this
all because
studio.
of the script or writing.
It has got no writing on it. If that had writing on it that said Zombie Hunter 5000, it would be illegal. Because it doesn't, it is completely legal.
So you've done nothing illegal, so you can sit in that studio opposite me with that 20-inch knife, which would kill me in seconds if you... Yeah, absolutely.
Kill several people.
In seconds.
It is terrifying. But it gets worse, Nick, I'm afraid, because I've heard from several police sources, in fact this is where the story was alerted to us, that they're turning up to raids on the properties of known violent criminals. They're finding knives just like this. But because there is no writing on the knives, the police can do nothing.
Oh, that's bloody awful, isn't it? That's bloody awful, isn't it? That's a knife. Now that's a knife. Check it out, man. If they have a loophole like that in UK where you can't have guns, I'm getting all the knives that I can have. I'm like your main man. What's your guy? Crocodile Dundee. You know what I'm talking about. I'm like that. I'm gonna have a whole arsenal. No pistol on my hip. I'm gonna have these big knives because the criminals got them. He just said the criminals got them. So why can't I have them? And then criminals also don't really care about laws anyway. So check it out. I'm gonna arm myself. I'm not gonna get stabbed to death out there in London trying to get a tea and then I get bashing my head with a knife. I'm not trying to go to a knife fight with my bare fists and my feet. That's not really a fair fight. Okay, I'm not trying to have a spot of tea and then get cut in my head with no way to defend myself. That's not what I want. You gotta get a oh yeah, I'm Australian. Look, I don't know the Commonwealth of Nations accent. I'm gonna give you a Canadian, Australian, UK. I don't have that one down pat. So I might go from Steve Irwin to Tony Blair in a heartbeat, just like that. So shout out to me and my failed English accent. But let's keep on going. Now let's go back to America. You got your main man Chris Matthews over on MS13 DNC, aka MSNBC, talking about the biggest threat to America are rural voters. Okay, rural voters. Now I tell you what, I think a big threat to America might be right there in Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., right there in the Beltway, right there on the hill, right there inside of the Beltway. That's the biggest threat to America, the federales, the federal government, okay? They can spy on you legally as of late. They don't need any kind of FISA warrant. They can do whatever they want. They can check into your bank account, your Venmo, your PayPal, your Cash App, see where the money's going, see where the money's coming from. They can do all of that. But they want you to believe the biggest threat to society are just regular, everyday normies in rural America. Let's check it out. All right. And again, RIP headphone users in advance.
It's very tough because people that didn't go to college have a pretty good rage on their hands. That's what you really want in an election is a rage. It can be black rage or white rage or rural rage. In this case, it's rural rage. They are so angry at the liberal establishment, the coastal elite. They look at people on television, they say, oh, those people on Saturday Night Live, those snarling rich kids, I know who they are. They're all trust funders. They don't have to worry about us. And the regular guy in the country goes, there they are snarling and making fun of us again. And every time we make fun of Trump, we're making fun of them. That's the weird, it's a weird thing. But in a way, it's like fighting terrorism. I mean, we think we just put the army in or Israel just puts the IDF in, they're going to solve the problem. It never solves the problem because you enrage people. It's very tough.
Okay, there's a lot going on here, but first, Chris Matthews, my man, how old are you exactly? You look like you're about 1,000 years old. Did you just come back from a cryo chamber like Captain America? And when they put you in, you were already 95 years old? Like, what's going on? Is this the original Chris Matthews? Did we see a clone for the past few years and they brought the real Chris Matthews back? Like, what's happening here? But you're just making a bunch of assertions, bringing up black, white, rural. You're trying to make division, but that's what they do on mainstream media is stoke division, stoke hatred, and stoke animosity. With these fossils they put out here to give the same message to people who have been getting it for the past 85 years. Okay, this man started broadcast television before my grandparents were born. I mean, what in the world's happening? But check it out. Check out your man. What in the George Washington, what in the back of a 1 cent piece currency is going on here with this hairstyle? I mean, Al Sharpton, how does your hairstyle look like a British court wig? What is going on here, my man? These people are ridiculous. This network is ridiculous. I don't see how anybody watches television, really. I had TV, like I had YouTube TV. Shout out to YouTube TV. I canceled it. I wasn't even watching it. I've not really been following sports like that the way I want to. Maybe when the NBA goes to playoffs, I'll turn it on again. But Fox, I try to watch Fox every morning and see what's happening. All they do is talk about Israel and IDF and just, okay, can I get a different news story? Can I get something else? I have no need for television anymore. I don't want to see these people on there. I don't want to see Fox. There's nothing else on there. I'm just wasting money, okay? If you're relying upon TV news, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather would paint my walls. I'd rather would, first of all, paint every wall in my house. And I got a pretty decent sized house. No bragging. I'm just saying. I'd rather would paint every wall in my house by hand. No spray attachments. Not even a pole attachment to a roller. I'm talking about a hand brush. Just paint every wall in my house for an entire day and watch it dry. I'd rather do that than watch mainstream news on television. I don't want to see it ever again, but I have to watch these clips to see what normies are being fed. Then I got to come on here and counteract it. So what they say isn't the only thing that's out there in the ethos, in the atmosphere. But I digress. Let's keep on rocking and rolling. Yeah, CNN sucks. We all know CNN sucks. CNN sucks big time. Oh my goodness. CNN sucks big time. MS-13 DNC, they suck. Fox is just as bad. Fox was like the last of the Mohicans, but they've kind of gone off the wagon over the past few years. But anyway. Oh, and speaking of Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania Avenue, Capitol Hill, inside the Beltway, we have sent $250 million more dollars to, guess where? Anybody want to guess where we sent it? We have sent $250 million more dollars to Ukraine. Now, I think I counted. I saw somewhere, and you guys, if I'm wrong, please correct me. We have sent Ukraine $150 billion with a B, $150 billion since the Biden administration. For what? So they can lose a little bit slower. so it could be a prolonged losing process. It's like, look, check it out. I don't like a death by 1,000 cuts. All right. If you're gonna just launch me from a bridge, just go ahead and do it. Now, I don't want to get launched from a bridge. Don't misunderstand me. I don't want to get launched from a bridge, but if you're gonna do it, go ahead. But don't like ease me down and I'ma still hit my head and get deleted. Just go ahead and do it. Don't halfway and try to prolong it. Just go ahead and do it. Don't dangle me over the bridge for 15 years and then drop me. Either just pick me up or let me go. Not this in-between thing you're doing, but check it out. We sent $250 million more to Ukraine for a grand total of $150 billion US dollars. For what reason? Why?
New offense.
Hold on, check it out.
The Biden administration is sending another aid package to Ukraine. A $250 million shipment includes arms, equipment, air defense munitions, and more than 15 million rounds of ammunition. But an anonymous source within the Biden administration tells Politico the White House wants an off-ramp. Quote, "That's been our theory of the case throughout. The only way this war ends ultimately is through negotiation. We want them to be in a stronger..."
Now you want to negotiate, huh? Now you want to negotiate. Well, we couldn't do that about $100 billion ago. We couldn't do that $50 billion ago. I mean, come on. Off-ramp. Look, check it out. If I was the king, I could just rule by fiat, do whatever I want to do. If I could just wave my scepter and say, it is so, what I would do is say, you guys are not going to get any money. We're going to end the war right now. Whether you guys win or lose, it's whatever, because at the end of the day, that's your fight to fight. I wish all the best for you guys over there. I wish that everyone innocent survives. But what's the point of us giving so much money so you guys can lose slowly? Because you're going to lose regardless of what. There's no way we're going to be able to ward off the Russian Federation from taking Ukraine unless we invade Russia, which would destroy the entire world. They have nukes. We have nukes. The moment we go into Moscow with U.S. troops and try to attack the Kremlin, do you know what will happen? Nuclear holocaust. As I said before, it's a thing called mutually assured destruction. That's what will happen. We have nukes. They have nukes. So if we strike them, they're going to strike us. We're going to strike back. They have nukes. We have nukes. Nobody wins. So again, this is an unwinnable war because we cannot do the thing that would end it. Because if we did that, then we would end ourselves. So if we wind up getting deleted trying to win the war, who won? Nobody. But I digress. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. All right, now check it out. Your man right here is going to ask a question about voter ID laws. Are voter ID laws racist? Now, I've covered this before. But now we have a new batch of youngins who are being asked a question by your main man over on Man versus Street Interviews. And shout out to Clown World for reposting it. If you guys are not following Clown World, please do so on the Twitters, Clown World _. Check it out.
Do you think voter ID laws are racist?
I think so.
Most of the motivation behind them being put into place is rooted in racism.
I think voter ID laws are inherently discriminatory. When you look, the vast majority of people who do not currently have IDs are people of color.
Do you have an ID?
My man with his hair, like all that, like, what are you doing? My man, can you get a man bun or something? All this jazz right here is distracting. Now, I know I'm a bald head guy. I could be a little bit jealous, but my man, what are we doing? Like, Put a hat, a man bun, or something.
Rooted in racism.
I think voter ID laws are inherently discriminatory. When you look, the vast majority of people who do not currently have IDs are people of color.
Do you have an ID?
Absolutely.
Can you show us? What do you have to say to all the people that say black Americans can't get voter ID?
I don't even know why they would say that. We can get the same things that every other American can get. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Republicans are just trying to make it really fucking hard for minorities to vote.
Why do they do that?
Because they hate black people. They fucking hate black people and they're racist.
Do you think...
So he has an interesting shirt on. This is a shirt of D.C. He probably wants D.C. to be 51st state. You know, that's an interesting shirt. So I could tell where they are. But anyway, guys like this, I mean, come on. Just ask me.
Well,
ask me. You know, having the ID is not a hard thing to do. And you know what else I got? Check it out. You know what else I got? I got a passport. Hey, I got a passport too. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell Massa I got a passport. He ain't supposed to know. Come on, man. Everybody has an ID. You got people that smoke crack for a living outside that have IDs. This is not a hard thing to acquire. I mean, if you don't have an ID, you're not also going to be a civically motivated person. You're not going to be voting. You're not going to really care about voting if you have no ID. If you have no ID, you probably shoot heroin at least 85% of the day. And even them, like I said, even them, they have ID because a lot of them get benefits and things of this nature that's tied to their ID. And really, when you're talking about poor people and like government assistance, housing, relying upon welfare benefits, how do you think they get those welfare benefits? How do you think they apply for Section 8 housing, subsidized housing, things of this nature? They got to have ID. Okay, they got to have ID. That's how it works. You have to apply for these things. So who's just out here with no ID? People that have been to prison recently might not have their ID for whatever the reason, but they can get it. Like, it's not a hard thing to do. It's not cost prohibitive. This is just a dumb thing. But a lot of people like this, they don't really talk to anybody like me. They talk to their fellow mostly white and or non-black liberal friends, and they tell them these things. And there's also a lot of black liberals who don't talk to guys like me. You see, a lot of black liberals come from more upper crust areas. A black liberal will be best friends with him. They'll grow up together in the same neighborhood where he might be the only black guy. Okay, so I come from a 100% black area. Everybody's black. And my neighborhood, look, until I got to be about 14 years old, every neighborhood I was in was all black. And to even see a white person was rare where I lived. And to even see a light-skinned black person was rare. I didn't start seeing light-skinned people until I got to be in high school. Like, I'm talking about, you might have one light-skinned person in your whole class. In the entire class. Everybody's dark-skinned like me. Okay, so, but you know what we all had? IDs. Even as a little kid, we had lunch tickets. Remember the lunch ticket? We had those. And if you didn't have your lunch ticket, you were going to be out back. You couldn't get your lunch because we had free lunch, reduced lunch. You had to have a ticket. Let me see if I can find it right quick. So if you could carry your lunch ticket at 6 years old, you can have an ID when you are, here it is. This is it right here. Well, it was similar to this. Not quite the same thing, but it was just like this. Okay, let me show you right here. So if we could carry around a lunch ticket at 6 years old and remember to carry it every day to get our lunch, then we could have an ID as grown people to go vote. Now check it out. That was our lunch ticket. I was probably about 5 or 6 when I first started carrying the lunch ticket. It was green. It looked something like this. It was paper, no lamination or nothing, just a paper ticket, a sheet of paper. You have it in your pocket, and when you go get your lunch, they would just punch it. When you would get free lunch, they would punch it for the one day. You come back, they punch it again, and then so on and so forth. What you did, okay? You gave in your name. It'll be right there on the ticket, and then they will punch it. So if you can carry that around when you a little boy and a little girl, then you could be a full-grown person as an adult and carry around an ID. And if you can't, then you just a crack smoker anyway. So your vote is not even going to happen because you're not going to go out there and vote anyway. All right. So yeah. Oh yeah. And we had high school IDs as well. I had a high school ID. I had a college ID. I had an ID when I was in the community college, in the 4-year college, and in high school. I had an ID. Sure did. Yep. But anyway, yeah, that's back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s when we had that. So yeah, shout out to the lunch tickets. All right, let's keep on rocking and rolling here. We got a few more things to get into. Let me see where I want to go next. There is quite a bit. I kind of want to jump to Kanye. Now, Kanye issued an apology over his comments about the Jays. All right, I'm going to read the apology, then I'm going to show you as a post. All right, and the apology did not go very well. It was not very well received by some people in the community, in the Jewish community. Some said it's okay, but some didn't. Now, I'm going to read the apology, and we're going to check it out right here. Check it out. It says, I sincerely apologize to the Jewish community for any unattended outbursts caused by my words or actions. It was not my intention to hurt or demean, and I deeply regret any pain I may have caused. I am committed to starting with myself and learning from this experience to ensure greater sensitivity and understanding in the future. Your forgiveness is important to me, and I am committed to making amends and promoting unity. That is the apology from Kanye West that he put on his Instagram page, if I'm not mistaken. Now, here is the actual post. It's written in Hebrew, all right? It's written all in Hebrew, so that had to get translated, and that was his outreach to the Jewish community, okay? Now, this was not taken very well. TMZ ran this through some kind of analysis, and they said that it's 85% done by ChatGPT. Now, check it out. Why does it matter? If I pay a publicist to write an apology for me, which most people do, look, usually when a celebrity apologizes, there is someone who writes the apology for them. A lot of times they will read it from a sheet of paper. So does anybody try to go back and see who wrote it for them, how much they paid? Does it matter? If I read it, if I say it, it's coming from me, either you're going to take it or not. Why pick apart who wrote it, how it was written, or whatever? If I posted it, I put it on my page, why does it matter? You see what I'm saying? At a certain point, I don't even really care. I'm going to just speak my mind, and if you're offended, oh well, because some people don't want to take apologies. It's like, nah, we don't really accept it. That came from ChatGPT. Okay, well, check it out. Next time, I'm not going to apologize at all. I'm going to just say what I got to say. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, fine. But I'm not going to play this game with you to where I got to jump through hoops of fire to please you, because obviously some people cannot be pleased. Now, let's go on here. This is Rabbi Shmuley, a very popular person on the Jewish side of things. And he says he rejects Kanye West's apology. Now, let's see what he has to say. All right, let's check it out.
Kanye West apologized to the Jews. First of all, he did it in Hebrew, so no one could understand it. I mean, that's great that you paid some publicists to write it in Hebrew. And he wants us to forgive him. And there's a debate going on, should he be forgiven? So let me be clear. Just imagine that a Jewish man comes along and says, I love the Klan, I love the Ku Klux Klan, I think all blacks should be enslaved, God forbid.
Here we go. Where we going, Rabbi Shmuley, a.k.a. Conor McGregor, but anyway.
I think they should all be killed. I love the founders of the Klan. I love James Earl Ray, who killed Martin Luther King. He's my hero, and wanted to write songs about it, and then increased racism, God forbid, all over the country. And then one day, 2 weeks before he has to release, that Jewish guy has to release a new album or a new movie, that Jewish actor, he says, oh, you know what? He posts something in Latin or in Greek. I'm sorry to all my Christian brothers, to all my black brothers and sisters. What I'm trying to say is that Kanye West's apology is ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it's meaningless, because it's garbage. Kanye West apologized.
All right, so there we have it. You know, that's an interesting thing, because I think Kanye talking about Hitler, people like this, but I think you're going a little bit too far talking about the Klan and James Earl Ray, people like this. You're going a little bit too far. But let's keep on going. Now, this is from Peter Rosenberg. Rosenberg is a guy who works at Hot 97, in New York City radio station, right? Where you can hear all kind of music with black folks talking about shoot, delete, women ain't nothing, B's, H's, every curse word, every type of degenerate thing about black folks in the world on his radio station. Here he is giving his 2 cents on the Kanye West apology. Check it out.
Your reaction to Kanye's apology.
And I got to just play audio because it's TMZ. They want to give me a copyright.
I thought, I wonder what the sample is that Kanye needs to try to clear before Friday. Because we all know Kanye notoriously is late with handling album stuff. And I just wonder whether there was something getting held up and someone said, hey, this sample does not get cleared if he does not issue an apology. And like you guys said, he just goes on ChatGPT and boom, we get a quote apology.
You buying it?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. No part of me believes this apology. I totally agree, by the way, that the Hebrew part was like so either intentionally or unintentionally offensive, as if like American Jews can just read Hebrew without vowels. Like, bro, it's just another offensive thing here. Nah, I don't even think it wasn't even one thing we know about Kanye. He's many things. Inauthentic is not one of them.
Why is it offensive to write in Hebrew when you see stuff that comes from the Israeli government is written in Hebrew and you can translate it? It can be translated. Like obviously it was translated. So Kanye's not a moron. You don't get to be a billionaire by being a moron. That's not really how that works. You can be rich for a period of time playing basketball or something like that. But to be rich for as long as he has and to be successful in many different avenues, to be successful in fashion design and music, producing, and being an artist himself, you don't get to that level of success and fame by just being an idiot. So obviously you can translate it, and obviously it was, which really just generated attention for him. But see, that's what goes on. Anyway, that's Peter Rosenberg from Hot 97. His co-star is Ebro, who is also part of the tribe and happens to be the head of Apple Music. And I think he has control of the playlist. It's pretty interesting, but I digress. Let's keep on going. Now, this man right here lives right on the border, and his backyard has become an encampment. Let's check it out.
Schuster moved here 40 years ago. His house is up a small hill looking out onto Mexico. His backyard is now a campground for migrants awaiting pickup from Border Patrol.
If I would have gone back a year, maybe 2 years, what did this look like?
Well, there was a lot of trees here, and there was no trash. You know, just a regular desert with the trees. Right now, we don't have that.
Well, where are the trees?
They're all gone. They chop them up, and they put them on the fire and keep themselves warm, just like you see it right there, yeah. This is where they walk through.
And that's Mexico.
So he's right on the border, and a lot of his land is being used for these migrants to just be camped out. Okay, they're chopping down trees to build fires. They got all kind of garbage everywhere. They're just tearing his land apart because there's no help from the federales. Again, as I said before in previous videos, the responsibility of border security falls on the federal government, and they are simply not doing their job. I think he would appreciate having a true wall right there and security. I guess it's a hole right there they come through.
Mexico.
That's Mexico right there.
I mean, the barbed wire ends there, but they could have.
That doesn't serve no purpose at all. And what they do, they just get the wire cutters and cut it off.
And you, Jerry, would want to see this continue all the way down.
All the way to that hill right there. Yeah. Just 150 feet more, that would avoid all these problems right here.
A senior CBP official tells us that it's up to local law enforcement to enforce trespassing on private property.
Oh, is that right? Did you hear that? They said CBP, the Border Patrol, say that it's up to local law enforcement to enforce trespassing laws on private property. Okay, so when Texas says that they're going to have a law that says it's illegal to be an illegal alien in Texas, you want to sue the Texas administration? You want to sue the Texas government for having that law? But then at the same time, you say it's up to local law enforcement, Texas law enforcement, to enforce trespassing laws. You cannot have your cake and eat it too, federal government. You know what I would do if I was the man to live right there? I would have private contractors come and build the wall up. Okay, I would do a GoFundMe to fund it and build the wall up and then have them sue me. I ain't paying nothing. Sue me if you want to. I ain't gonna pay a dime. Okay, I'm not going to prison. It's my private property, right? So I'm gonna build the wall myself. How about that?
And that Border Patrol agents cannot physically block people from crossing into the country, nor send them immediately back across the border. They can only take them into custody and process them accordingly.
Man, ain't no way. Look, I would build the rest of the border myself. GoFundMe and just do it. Because if y'all not going to do anything, then why should I do anything either? All right. Now, we're going to get into Nikki Haley. This is going to be a lot here, so let's hang tight. So Nikki Haley, she is trying to become president. According to some polls, she's closing the gap between her and Trump. I have no idea how that's happening. I don't think these polls are legitimate. I don't think these polls are accurate at all. What do you guys think? I think that she is behind Vivek, at minimum, at least behind Vivek, and probably behind DeSantis. So I don't understand how people have her neck and neck with Donald Trump. I don't get it. Nikki Haley, I would never. Hear me well. If Nikki Haley somehow got the nomination, I would not be very enthused about going out there to vote. I would ponder staying at home. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to stay at home. I almost said that. I almost said I was going to stay at home, but I don't think I'm going to go that far. But if people did stay home, put it to you this way, if people did stay home because she was a nominee, I wouldn't even be mad. I wouldn't even be mad because Nikki Haley is bad. Nikki Haley is terrible. She really is. She's bad. But this is her right here. And you see who that is right next to her. You see who that is. Good old Mitt Romney. Okay. And then look, find you somebody who is as into you as Mitt Romney is into Nikki Haley. Find you somebody who is as into you as Mitt Romney is into Nikki Haley. I mean, what in the secret affair is going on here? So there you have it. That's the awesome twosome, Nikki Haley and Mitt Romney. You know what would be funny? You know what would be very funny is if Nikki Haley was to announce before the nomination, if she was to announce him as a running mate, that'd just be the icing on the cake. I'd be like, man, look, you might as well just dig up your man. What's your man? Iran. Dig him up and pair him next to Dick Cheney. Okay, that'd be the same thing as what we got right here. But anyway, sorry, that was a little bit dark. I'm sorry. I apologize. Now, here are the comments she made about the Civil War and slavery. And to be clear, I don't say she is bad because of this comment. I say she's bad because of her outlook on foreign policy and a lot of other things. Okay, she's just the same as the previous GOP warmongers, uniparty people. This comment right here was just her not knowing information, not being able to give a full answer to a question. She was just saying what she thought people wanted to hear rather than the truth. Let's check it out.
Front. Nikki Haley is in New Hampshire tonight making her case to voters. She's been doing this repeatedly. She was asked tonight, just a few moments ago, by a voter about what was the cause of the Civil War. This is how she responded.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was? I'm sorry?
I'm not ready to be president. I want to see your view on the cause of the Civil War.
I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government.
So you heard what he said. He was like, well, 2023, it's astonishing you can't answer that without mentioning the word slavery. You know, if you're gonna give an answer about the Civil War and what caused it, you got to mention slavery. You got to talk about that because that's the elephant in the room. You got to address it. You can't just ignore it. And the person was right. Although I think the person was trying to get a gotcha question because I think maybe the person knows Nikki Haley was not going to be able to answer it.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you've answered my question. Thank you.
To answer the question, exactly.
Next question.
Wow. Yikes.
Now, it's not your average town hall question, but she did seem surprised by it. And the voter, as you could hear there, called her out for not mentioning slavery. What do you make of that answer?
Yeah, if I were her, that would have been pretty easy to just say that and move on.
Now, as I said in my video, she could have just said one word, slavery. When the person asked, hey, what was the cause of the American Civil War? She could have just said slavery and moved on, and that would have been accepted. Although it wouldn't have been a correct answer, meaning it wouldn't have been a complete answer. If she was to say states' rights and move on, that's also incomplete. You can't just leave these answers here because you give too much room for interpretation and for the person listening to try and fill in the blanks on their own. Because if you were to say that the war was fought over slavery, then someone may think that the North fought the South to force them to free their slaves. That is not what happened. The war was not fought to free slaves, period. It was not meant to free slaves. And if it was, then tell me why both sides had slaves. Look, if the North says, hey, we're going to fight you because you guys have slaves and we're going to come free them, okay, you first. The emancipation only applied to states in rebellion, meaning the states that seceded from the Union. Meanwhile, the Union kept their slaves and they had laws in the books that prevented runaway slaves from being there. Now, look, I always talk about West Virginia. That's my home. That's where I was born. That's where I got family. My family was actually enslaved. Look, in my grandma's house right now, my great-grandmother was born in 1908. She passed when I was like 19. My grandma still lives in that same house right now. My great-grandmother's daughter, my grandma is 85 years old right now in Rand, West Virginia. Now check it out. In the den, we got pictures. We have pictures of my family going back in the 1800s on the wall. So both sides of my family are native to West Virginia from the plantation. Okay. So I know the story very well. I know exactly what happened from like actual experience and from reading on it. From my actual history and my family, my bloodline, and reading about it. So I always told this story about West Virginia. Now check it out. I'm gonna tell it one more time, and then I'm gonna keep on rocking and get into Vivek's answer because he answered the same question. And if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. Now check it out. So the war starts 1861. West Virginia wanted to become its own state as early as the late 1700s because they were being ignored politically. Virginia at one point was just one big state going all the way from the East Coast, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Eastern Shore, over to West Virginia and all of the counties in West Virginia, going all the way to like Kentucky, Ohio, all the way over there. It was a big state. Now, if you know about geography, let's do a little bit of geography right here, okay, to show you why this happened, to show you why there was a division. All right, let me just put it on the screen right quick. So check it out. You see the map. I love maps. Now, I grew up over here, right, in this area right here on the water. Now, in this area, you got shipbuilding, ports, you got slaves, you got cotton, you got farming, you have DC right here, not too far away. East Coast was where all the money, all the economics, and the capital right here, Richmond, right on the James River, okay? Everything was on the eastern part of the state. Now, out here, once you get to the border of West Virginia, once you get to Roanoke, this place right here where my dad grew up for a part of his life, this is at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Once you in Roanoke, you can see the mountains right there. Once you go over here, it's all mountainous. To go from Norfolk to Charleston, right here, which is where I was born, in the mountains, like pure mountain, to get there from here, it's 6.5 hours if you put and go 1,000 miles an hour and don't stop. With modern roads, cars, and everything else. So imagine how far it was during the 1700s, 1800s. Out here, these counties are part of Virginia, and they were being totally ignored because of all the action happening on the East Coast. Out here, they're totally being ignored. They want to be their own state going as far as the 1700s. When the war happened, they say, you know what, okay, let's do it right now. Let's break away from Virginia and create West Virginia. And not only are we going to do that, we're going to break from the Confederacy, because remember, Virginia was the capital of the Confederacy. The battle flag was the battle flag of Northern Virginia, okay, where all the rich elites live today. That's where the Confederate flag comes from, but different story, I digress. The capital of the Confederacy, where Robert E. Lee was from, and the reason why Robert E. Lee fought for the Confederacy is because he's from Virginia and did not want to fight against his own state. The idea of the federal government being so powerful was not a thing back then. The states were more like individual countries. But anyway, so they break away, become their own state, and Ohio is right here. Now, Ohio is in the Union. Their soldiers came from Ohio to Charleston and said, hey, check it out. You guys just broke from Virginia, and you're in a union now, and you have slaves, but check it out. Don't worry about it. If your slaves try to break away and come into Ohio, we will send them back, because we do not allow slaves who are runaways in our states. We're going to bring them right back to you. So this union state without slaves did not allow runaway slaves in their territory. They would return them back to West Virginia. So was it about the freedom of black people, of liberty for blacks and slaves, things of this nature? Was that the reason why the war was fought? No. It was about states' rights. It was about the rights of them to do what they wanted. Now, somebody could say it was right to own slaves, but the North also had slaves. Ohio was not a slave state, but Kentucky was, and Kentucky was in the Union throughout the entire war. And as a matter of fact, they were the very last state in the country, North or South, to free their slaves. At the very end of the war, in December 1865, they freed their slaves at the very end. And they were forcibly made to do that by 13th Amendment when they ratified it. And by the way, Delaware was also a slave state. This is where your man Joe Biden is from. They did not ratify the amendment until 1910. Okay. So I'm not trying to hear anything about anything. I'm not trying to hear nothing about no moral high ground from the North, because they had slaves. They did not allow runaway slaves. If you would run away during the war or anytime as a slave, you had to go to Nova Scotia, Canada, to some cold place, or you would get sent back to Liberia. You would get sent back to Africa. There was a commission created. It might have been in DC or New York. I think it was New York businessmen that did it. They would send you back to Liberia. Not really back to Liberia, because you're not from Liberia, because you're born in the States. You would get sent to Africa, and they just picked Liberia as a place. Okay, you guys probably have West African ancestry. Close enough. Put you over there in Liberia. These are the Americo-Liberians. And when they went to Liberia, all they did was cause conflict, because they did the exact same thing that was happening to them in America. The white man being the slave master, they did the same thing to the Liberians over there. Okay. The people that came from America were not the same as those who were already in Liberia. You were born and raised in America from generations. You go to Africa as a migrant, as a whole different person. You're not the same as them. But anyway, that's the reason why I say it was not about freeing the slaves. Yes, slavery was a key component, but it was not about individual liberty and justice and rights for blacks. That came about as time progressed, as we got later into modern society, but not back then. That's not what it was about. It wasn't really about that. I'm not saying people individually didn't want that who were non-black, but that's not what the war was about. That's not what the fighting was about. Here's what the war was about, really. The bigger thing was the tax revenue, the money, because slavery was the lifeblood of the entire country, not just the South, but the North as well. Lincoln himself said that the North could not survive at the time without the tax revenue from the South, because cotton at the time was king. The farming, the cotton, the U.S. needed the tax revenue from the South. So when the South seceded, said, okay, check it out. We can't do what we want to do. We're going to create our own country. We're not part of the Union anymore. When the South did that, they're like, oh, whoa, hold on. We need that tax revenue. We need the slave tax revenue. So we're going to fight a war to reunify. That's what happened. And then after the war, they wrote that any debt from the war will be dissolved. So I was like, okay, we got a really big debt from the war and we're going to dissolve it. We're going to just totally cancel that because, hey, it's your fault we had to fight the war. And then they passed a law that says if you were engaged in the insurrection, meaning seceding, you could not hold public office. And they're trying to use that same law right now against Trump for January 6th, although, again, there's no evidence of him being involved with the so-called insurrection, nor is there evidence of an insurrection, at least not in the form of a conviction. There's an opinion out there that there's evidence, but prove it in court. Prove it in court. Get a conviction. But anyway, I digress. Now, let's go back. Let's go back to what your man Vivek said. Let's get his answer about the war and what happened and what went on. All right. I think my answer was pretty good. You guys want to hear more? I think my answer was pretty good. I don't hold any hard feelings. I'm not sensitive. I'm not triggered. I'm just saying this is the reality. All I'm about is the truth. I don't care about feelings. I don't care about anything other than the truth. The war was more about money, politics, control. That's what it was about. Rights of states, the federal government versus smaller government. It wasn't about the individual liberty of slaves, although that was the result of the war, slavery being over. But again, that's not what it was about. Slavery, yes, was a big part of it, but not the individual liberty of slaves. Now, let's see what Vivek says.
Yes, I got a two-parter. I wonder if you could tell me
That's great.
What the causes of the Civil War were.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're headed to another one, possibly.
That's the question of our time. Civil War is one of these things that speaks itself into existence, actually. And, you have a governor of South Carolina who doesn't know much about the history of her own state, but South Carolina, actually, in about 1832, it's one of the things we learned in U.S. history class in 11th grade. They actually were going to secede from the Union. We're talking nearly a couple decades before the Civil War. Right? So this comes back to the present. Our history isn't about our past. It's about our understanding of our future. So they actually, in 1832, were about to secede. Back then, it was about tariffs between the North and the South. But ultimately, the thing that boiled this over was slavery. But there were tensions brewing, a value system that was fundamentally different in two countries that shared a geographic space, but a value system that was fundamentally different.
Huh? What are we saying here? Value system. What are we saying? Value system. What value system? I don't understand. Can we go deeper on that, Vivek? I'm not really understanding.
That's really what led to the Civil War. So the powder keg was in the air. Slavery was the match that we lit that caused it to boil over. Well, the question you asked is, Where are we today? And I don't use that word lightly. We are already, I would say, in the middle of a Cold War in this country. A war between those of us who love the United States of America and those who hate this country and what we stand for. And I called this a war today because, like the one fought 160 years ago, 80 years ago, we could say that it's an incompatible worldview. Either you believe in merit or you believe in group quotas. You cannot have both. Either you believe in free speech or you believe in censorship. You cannot have both. Either you believe in American exceptionalism or you believe in American apologism. Just as happened in that last Civil War, you cannot have both. That's the moment we live in today. And I think now more than ever, we need a commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory in this Cold War so it does not turn hot. That's what we require. And I think it's going to take somebody from the outside. Somebody who's not susceptible to the special interests that got us to where we are. And I believe now more than ever, somebody from the next generation to reach and lead the new generation of Americans. That's what it's going to take.
All right, there you have it. That is Vivek Ramaswamy's answer to the question about what caused the Civil War. So, okay, I have a question. I won't do a poll. I'll just ask a question. Whose take do you like better? Nikki Haley, Vivek, or mine? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. I'm just saying, I don't think a lot of people have really studied it. They don't really understand it. Then also people are afraid to really say it because people that are non-black, if you say certain things, you could be accused of racism or you just don't know. That might be what it is. I think Nikki Haley didn't really know at that moment. She was not ready for that question and did not have much to say as a response. I think she repeated what she has heard just in circles or on television, but she didn't really know the answer because she hadn't really studied it. And Vivek, maybe he knew a little bit more, and he had an answer prepared because when he was asked a question, he talked about South Carolina. It's like, South Carolina, I mean, like, go to the key places, go to Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. Talk about Robert E. Lee, why he became the the Confederate general, not the Union general. Talk about Grant. You want to talk about anti-Semitism? Talk about how Grant expelled the Jays from Tennessee during the war. Talk about that part. Oh, he's your Union general, your hero, but he expelled the Jays. Is he an anti-Semite? See what I'm talking about? The moral high ground doesn't really exist. But when you answer a question in a way that leaves an open-ended interpretation, the moral high ground is given to whoever the person thinks. But I want to give you the full and complete response so you know exactly what's going on. Okay? I got to give you the whole shebang, the whole thing. All right? So yeah, shout out to Nikki Haley, shout out to Vivek. But hey, that's pretty much what that is. And if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed my response. I try to be knowledgeable and educated on certain things as much as I can. That's just pretty much what it is. Now, we have a tad bit more from Nikki Haley, and then we're going to get into the situation about the draft. Yeah, the draft. Check it out. A young person wrecked Nikki Haley at an event. All right, let's check it out.
Ask you, so Chris Christie thinks that you're a flip-flopper on the Donald Trump issue. And honestly, I agree with him. And you're basically the new John Kerry on the if you remember John Kerry from 2004. I wanted to ask you, so Chris Christie thinks that you're a flip-flopper on the Donald Trump issue. And honestly, I agree with him. And you're basically the new John Kerry on the if you remember John Kerry from 2004.
So yeah, shout out to the very young and intelligent the kids out there. being able to cite certain things. Obviously, this young person is very well read, researched. Shout out to his dad, whoever's giving them the information. Yeah, shout out to the parents for educating their youngins right. All right. Calling Nikki Haley the new John Kerry. Now, here is Nikki Haley again with Sununu. Sununu. What kind of name is that? Anyway, let's check this out.
I guess if you grow up in the South, it's a given that it's about slavery. To me, it was about what freedom. What do you do? It's bigger than slavery. That was such a stain on our history. But what do you take from it going forward? Yes, of course, slavery can never happen again. But going forward, doesn't that mean we should focus on the freedoms of people to live their life, not to have government, not to have any other person tell them what they can and can't do? That's been trampled on the past few years. That's the part we've got to make sure we never take anything away from. So look, I mean, you guys can make it about something else, but if you look at my record in South Carolina, we dealt with this a whole lot more than people. And what I'll tell you is, yes, you can acknowledge a point in history, but what do you do with that point in history? You got to make sure the lessons constantly go forward so that we never see it again. Do you think
All right, so there you have it. That is her attempt at trying to clean it up afterward to get a better answer afterward with Sununu right there. Maybe Sununu might be the running mate because I've seen him quite a bit with Nikki Haley. I've seen him stump for her on the campaign trail, if I'm not mistaken. So that might be the running mate right there. I'll tell you what, if it's a male running mate, it's going to be cringe. It's going to be big cringe. But hey, it is what it is. She's cringe enough with a male running mate and Chris Sununu being the running mate. That'd be a mess. All right. Now, here we go talking about the episode of Rising on the Hill. A lot of you guys apparently watch this show. Shout out to you guys who watch it. This is a 2-minute clip of a 20-minute show. They had other topics to discuss, but this particular one came up. Now, I'm going to read the caption here. Brianna Joy Gray is speaking to Robbie Suave on her show. Her caption says, asking a descendant of slaves if she condemns the loss of Confederate lives during the Civil War with the handshake emoji, asking Palestinians to condemn every expression of resistance to the occupation. Okay, so I guess she's comparing the two things there, but let's just check it out. Now, again, the subject matter here is Nikki Haley and the whole Civil War kerfuffle. Let's watch.
I'm surprised you have this. It sounds, I mean, the North did you could say that was fine. They needed to do that, and this was necessary to end the institution of slavery, which is horrible. The hundreds of thousands of deaths, the invasion and conquest of the South, the burning of city after city, a scorched earth policy of totally destroying the Confederate armed forces, killing and capturing their leaders. That's fine. That's what we did. We can't examine. I mean, I think it's fine to wonder if that was the greatest course of action or the ideal way to bring about the end of slavery.
But okay, again, I got to keep correcting these people because you put in the narrative out there that the war was fought to end slavery. It was not. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to reunify. The goal was to get the tax revenue back. The goal was to get the nation together. Lincoln said it himself. If he could get the Union back together without freeing slaves, he would. The North had slaves throughout the entire war. The South also had slaves throughout the entire war. This was not an effort to free slaves, although that came about. And as a matter of fact, when Lincoln filed the Emancipation, it only applied to the Confederacy. It did not apply to the Union. They were allowed to keep their slaves. And the Native Federations did not free their slaves until the next year. The Choctaw were the last to free their slaves in 1866. A little bit of fun fact, but I digress.
Particularly because the North invented the draft and the purpose of doing it, which is, in my view, also a form of slavery, that then persisted for another 100 years.
That face right there was hilarious. So basically, he's saying, hey, the draft was created by the quote-unquote North, I guess the Union, and the reason they did that was to get guys to be conscripted and go fight the war and win. And he's saying that's like a form of slavery itself. And she's like, are we comparing the draft to slavery? Is that what's going on? Now let's keep on going.
Forcing people to go die in warfare is the most objectionable thing I could possibly think of.
weird. I think 400 years of chattel slavery having ritualized.
If the government can make you die. If they can make you die.
Do you think slave owners couldn't kill their slaves didn't kill their slaves?
I'm saying this is a form of slavery. I'm not saying slavery is not slavery.
You just said that the draft is the worst thing that you could think of. And we're having a conversation about chattel slavery.
If the government can make you go die on a foreign battlefield, you don't own yourself in any conceivable way. So that's why I don't romanticize the North Africans.
You have a right to get married if you're in a war. If you're drafted, you have a right to keep your own children, not have them literally sold away from you as property. You have a right to wages for your labor. You had a right to a GI Bill.
Inventing one kind of slavery is the right way to get.
Robbie, you can make your point without making a comparison between the draft and chattel slavery, which was a multi-generational pogrom against millions of Africans who were brought across the Atlantic and kept for hundreds of years without a single right in the land.
Very bad. Shouldn't have done any of it. Should not have enslaved people in the course of ending it.
So there we go. That is the Rising. The show is called Rising on the Hill TV, hosted by Brianna Joy Gray and Robbie Suave. Now let's check it out. I'm gonna just give my 2 cents here. Now, of course, military conscription. I'm no fan of it. This is why Muhammad Ali sat down and he was not very well liked over it. Remember that? And he went to prison for not going to Vietnam and deleting the Viet Cong for bankers, and a war that was ultimately lost by the U.S. anyway. Remember that? So I understand that conscription isn't a good thing. And it was not just the white man that was conscripted. 10% of the Union soldiers were black men. And then, of course, after the war, you had black men who went to war. I had an uncle that was in Vietnam, and he got deleted over there. So it wasn't just a white man thing, first of all. Second of all, when you want to compare conscription to slavery, like in the U.S., so you're talking about the early 1600s, you have slavery first starting under the Kingdom of Great Britain, and then 1776, we become the U.S. It continues. There's no change in actual slavery over here. You're talking about bringing actual shiploads of humans in the slave trade from Africa over here, and hundreds of years, you're born into slavery. Men, women, children, elderly, or whatever. The conscription was not that way. You didn't have little kids going off to war or women. It was men, military-aged men, white men at first, some black men, and then white, black, whoever. You get sent to war, you could die. Or maybe you might die, maybe you might not. If you came back, you were able to get a pension. You were able to get the GI Bill eventually. Then the VA came eventually. But the pension started in 1862 during the war. You were getting paid if you were a disabled veteran back then. If you got deleted, you got your family was compensated back then. Now, if you were a slave, what was the compensation if you got deleted? If you got lynched for not picking cotton fast enough or something crazy like that, you got lynched in front of your whole family. You know, your grandma saw you get lynched or burn up. What was the compensation? And then after slavery, what was it? Hey, man, yo, check it out. Sorry for that, man. Like, my fault. But, hey, no bad blood, right? Have a nice day. You pretty much just sent on your way. And that's it. And then now you got to try to fight to figure out how you're going to live and what you're going to do, where you're going to go. So it's a little bit different. I understand that conscription is you not having autonomy, but you got paid. If you didn't get deleted, you had benefits, you got pensions, you got things. It wasn't just, okay, you're in the plantation, you pick cotton, or you're baling hay or whatever, you're dealing with the horses. You're not just like, what they say, farmer equipment, you're not just that. Okay, you have rights, you have human rights. You're not counted as not really a whole person for congressional purposes. Okay, you're not given some random white man's name. You know, you keep your own name and your family and everything else. You might get deleted, but if you're a slave, you also might get deleted. You might get deleted because it could be anything. No due process, no human rights. You might be out there in the sun working, breaking your back, picking cotton, and you just fall out. Bad living conditions, bad food. You see what I'm saying? Like what did I say in my original video? The life expectancy for Black Americans in 1900, well, after slavery, was 33 years old. 33 in America, 33 years old. So imagine what it was during slavery. Think that it got worse after slavery, or did it get better? Think about that for a minute. So living conditions, lack of any kind of ability, male, female, young, old, it's different. But I'll receive his point about conscription not being a good thing, but it's incomparable to slavery. It's just incomparable. So it is what it is. But if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. And then also, I think what's happening now is that, and I'm not going to stop talking about it, whoever asked me the question, I'll be done when I'm done. If you don't like it, I can't do nothing for you. I think that people say things like this, like my man Robbie did, to go viral. Because that's the hot thing nowadays. I'm going to just say something shocking. I'm going to say something polarizing. I'm going to say something that I know is going to have divided opinions to go viral. Because, hey, we got a show. We're in front of microphones. Look, we're on a desk. We got a production here. We got to get this ad revenue in. We got to bring in viewers. We got to bring in attention. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say something that's shocking. I'm going to say something that will get people interested. And here I am on ABL Live talking about them. Here I am giving them a platform. Without this, I probably wouldn't watch this show. Why would I watch this? Nothing against Robbie and Brianna, but I have no reason to watch it. I'd rather read what she writes. I'll follow her on Twitter. I'd rather read her tweets than watch her talk. I don't want to see her talk or him. I read their tweets occasionally, but I have no reason to watch this. So I think this could have been the reason to, to get people to watch. Say something kind of shocking. Say something kind of on the edge that before you say it, it's going to be that way. Now you got viewers. And I see it all the time. I see fake stuff, skits, everything else to get people interested. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just expressing himself. He's just speaking his mind. But you got to think. Before you say something, like, you got to know what's going to happen. You're a white guy talking about the draft was the same thing as slavery or any kind of comparable. It's going to be controversial. And you know what to expect. Whenever I get in front of this microphone, I know people are listening. I'm here so you can hear me talk. So I know whenever I say something, I know if it's going to be controversial or it might, cause hurt feelings. I know what's going to happen. I know what the result's going to be. And I know that it could be taken one way or the other. I've learned that over the years. And at a certain point, if you're doing this for a living and you got producers and all that kind of stuff and money behind you, you know what you're doing. But I digress. All right. So Jeff says, proof ABL is a sun man, low IQ. Well, here you are watching me. All right. And you're 300 pounds and you got Cheeto dust on your tidy whities. So what you want me to do? I'm not watching Jeff Chef. I'm never going to go to Jeff Chef's channel and watch his content, okay? I don't want to see no fat, out of shape guy with man boobs eating Cheetos. That's not my wave. I'm not into that. I'm into more highbrow content, okay? So you could continue to watch me on my show. You can watch the low IQ Sun Man talk for as long as you want. Just hit the like button or dislike button. It don't matter. It's still engagement. It's fine. Thank you for the view. Thank you for the like or the dislike, the hate, the love. It's all good. I appreciate it. All right. And if you like what you're hearing so far, dust your tidy whities off, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right. But we got we got more to get into. And look, his take is not offensive to me. The guy, not Jeff Chef. I don't care about that guy. I'm talking about Robbie Suave. I'm not offended, but I'm just saying things like that you say, you're going to get a reaction that might not necessarily be positive. You know that already from the jump. It's not even a thing that you got to really be thinking about that deeply. All right. And I didn't get to Trump on the ballot in Maine or not, but that's not going to happen. Same thing in Colorado. They said he's not going to be on the ballot because he was involved with the insurrection. But then they said, we're going to say the decision until the Supreme Court rules one way or the other. And the Supreme Court, in theory, could ignore it and never rule on it, and he'd be on the ballot. Same thing in Maine. There's no leg to stand on. All they want to do is demoralize you. They put out stuff that won't happen, and they know it won't happen. So you may go to the poll come primary time and vote for a Nikki Haley, okay? the reanimated corpse of John McCain and the female from the Indian subcontinent, you might want to vote for her in the primary. It's a demoralizing tactic. Okay, this is what rigging looks like. It's not about trying to change votes. It can't do that, really, because voting is a state-to-state issue. I got to express that before I keep on moving. Voting is a state issue. The federales can't really intervene. What they can do is try to fool you psychologically, to demoralize you, to make you think that you can't vote for a person, to make you think that this guy won't be available, that he's going to be locked up, although he won't. This is going to be the biggest defeat of the system ever. A man got like 90-something charges pending. He's going to beat every single charge. It's going to be embarrassing. They're going to have egg on their face because they know they're overcharging, and the only reason they're doing it is to demoralize and discourage you. There's not enough there to keep anything going, right? By 2024, by this time, we're probably going to see Trump winning the election. I think that's what's going to happen. They don't have anybody on the left that can go up against him. As long as Trump stays in and he's good and he didn't do anything to himself, meaning drop out, I think he'd be good to go. All right. Let's keep on going here. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That will help me out tremendously. We're going to get to the calls in just one moment. Y'all please hang tight. And the number to call is 434-658-1220. I got super chats on deck first. Thank you to Nick Corio, who says, is it too much to say that maybe both Hamas and their Israeli government are evil? Or am I considered anti-Semitic for saying that? You're right on point, sir. You're not anti-Semitic at all. You're just telling the truth. Shout out to you. There's problems in every government, including our own. If I say that the U.S. government has problems, why can't I say that Israel does as well? I love my country 100%. So why can't I say that another country that I'm not in, that I don't love, has problems? It makes no sense to me. But anyway, thank you to Ryan Walker, who says, as a Texan, we should remove Biden from the ballot. Thank you to Patch Duress, who says, good video earlier this afternoon about Tucker and Sagar from Breaking Points. Gotta know it was an allegiance to your own country. Hilarious you mentioned Kyle Kalinske as if he mattered. He is very lefty on YouTube. Thank you to John Medeski, who says, ABL, do you have an inner voice monologue? At least half of humans do not. There's no understanding of people who aren't even real. NPCs exist. Look it up. Yes, I do have an inner voice monologue all the time. All the time. Like, I have that voice, not voices in my head like I'm, going crazy, but when I'm thinking about doing certain things or saying certain things, I think about it to myself, and I have a certain set of principles that I rely on that I've been able to find over the years. Some need religion to have that inner monologue, that inner dialogue. Some don't. I say however you achieve it, as long as you do well by yourself and others, that's what matters the most. So yeah, I have that inner voice and dialogue with myself. Absolutely. Thank you to Life with Sean, who says New Jersey had slaves through the Civil War and didn't ratify the 13th Amendment until 1866. It also voted against Lincoln during his second term. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like these northern states, it's like you can't have the moral high ground here. The typical person would think the North fought the South to end slavery, to free the slaves. That's simply untrue. It's simply untrue. Okay, the real answer is much deeper than that. And I think if we understand the real reason and its full complexity, then we can understand our nation a little bit better. It's always good to have the truth rather than what someone wants you to think or believe is the truth. Thank you to Patch Duress, who says, that's the R to the O to the O to the F to the capital top. Joking, but the situation is stupid as F. Thank you to John Medeski, who says, NPCs exist. Look up in the voice monologue. Thank you to Rock Revolution, who says, the U.S. must be prepared for Biden to give the UN our freedom away to the UN next May. Also, C23. C23, is that a new one? Not C19, C23. I guess 2023. BLM riots on steroids, amnesty for terrorists. Thank you to John Medeski again, who says, Ivan has no inner voice monologue. Also, once you know these people have no inner voice and what this means, not even a cloud above their heads like in comics, you will understand. Thank you to Monique Price, who says, do they, thems refer to themselves as we? That's a good question. That is a very good question. Shout out to Michael Critchlow, who says, Happy New Year to the ABL community. Right on. Thank you to Monique Price, who says, it's the same with girls as well. My parents divorced when I was 13, and I often tested my mother. That would have been shut down immediately by my dad. Exactly right. Because the women, and I'm not going to be sexist here, don't nobody get offended, but the women are typically not going to be in a leadership role, in a dominant role. And when they try to be in a leader and dominant role, what ends up happening is a bunch of conflict. That's when you get the belligerent women, because they're trying to assert themselves with using aggression, but it's not really in their nature. Okay, so men can exert aggression in a calm way to where it feels natural, because that's part of what we do. We don't exhibit softness and feminine energy naturally, which is why when you see these drag queen story times, they're scarier than Pennywise the Clown from the It movies. I'm talking about scary as scary can be. Hey man, look, two things that scare me to death. Like, I don't get scared at all at anything really, but if you got these clowns, like if it's a random clown at night walking around, I'm scared. I'm ready to get my pistol. Like, what's going on? Okay, am I in a video game or what? What's happening? Is this it, the movie? Is this Pennywise right here trying to take me to the sewer? Like your man, Georgie. I'm not trying to be like Georgie in the sewer. I'm good. I'm getting my pistol immediately. Drag queen, same thing. This man's 6'5" with a wig on and clown makeup. I'm scared. Anyway, my point is, when men try to exude feminism, it comes off scary because it's not natural. And the women, same thing. When they try to exude masculinity and power and strength and trying to be the leader, it often comes off as belligerent and just crazy because they're acting beyond their nature. You know, we're made differently. Men have strengths. Women have strengths. When we try to get into our weaknesses, it gets weird. It gets really weird. And I get scared. Thank you to F Ranger Xbox, who says, Happy New Year's, ABLers. Thank you to Matthew Richardson, who says, Bronx, I said about 9 months ago that Trump was the real N word. My statement confused the whole chat. I got to catch up to who's real. Papa Naya Shelley says, I lost all my knives in a tragic boating accident. There you go. Exactly. I done lost all my steak knives, my butter knives, all my knives done got lost. Pocket knives, everything I lost in a tragic boating accident. Thank you to Apple Barker Alpuff Daddy, who says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was 2023 for you, ABL? I give it a good 8.5. 8.5. Yeah, I don't want to say 9 or a 10 because I think things could always improve. You could always go above and beyond. But it was a good year for me. I enjoyed 2023 for sure. I really enjoyed it. Apple Backer Alpuff Daddy also says, what was the biggest news story of the year for you, ABL? That's a great question. And I might do a video on this tomorrow. That's a good topic for a video. The biggest news story, man, I can't really call it. There were quite a few. I gotta get back to you on that. I'll ask you guys in the chat, what was the biggest news story in your opinion in 2023? There was a lot that happened this year, but to think about all 12 months right now, it's kind of hard to do so. There was a lot that happened this year. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Also, Brandon Strzok won court case against Capital Popo. Shout out to Brandon Strzok. Oh, the baby on the freeway. Yeah, that was a big one. All right. Shout out to John Medeski, who says there's more NPCs that exist than people with souls. Also, Apple says passport ABL. What countries you want to travel? I want to go to Japan. That's a bucket list. I want to go to parts of Africa. I want to go to Nigeria, Ghana, that part, like West Africa. I want to go to Uganda. I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to Europe, of course, do like a tour of Europe. Definitely want to go to, what I said. That's pretty much the main one. Japan, parts of Africa, Europe, and maybe like Brazil somewhere, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, somewhere like that. Yeah, for sure. Where else? Shout out to Mambo 1278, who says, I can't believe the West angrily supports terrorist Hamas. Why do you think that is? We're living in some crazy times. Thanks, ABL. Thank you for this super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you to Rebecca, who says you rock ABL. Thank you for becoming part of the ABL squad. Thank you to Clown Sheep 22. Clown Sheep 22 says, hey, ABL, longtime fan. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Can I ask you to give a quick shout out to Abby and Tommy? Thanks, my friend. Shout out to Abby and Tommy. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all for being part of the squad for sure. And thank you for your donation, Clown Sheep 22. Thank you to Matthew, who says Protestant versus Catholic and Republican value system. Thank you to Angela Rivera, who says, hey, ABL, the South tried to break the Missouri Compromise by calling slaves private property and moved them to new territories west of the Missouri. That caused Lincoln to run and debate the expansion of slavery with Stephen Douglas. Okay, I see. Now we're getting deeper. Now we're getting into more things. Now we're trying to really just break down what's really happening. Now, the thing is, the compromise was, okay, keep them right there and don't move them, I suppose. And let's keep getting that tax revenue. But then now all of a sudden, tax revenue's not there because it's seceded. Now we got a problem. Now we getting that tax revenue back, and any debt we incurred to get the tax revenue back, we're going to cancel it. Funny how that works. But anyway, thank you to Love Live Serve, who says, ABL, are the rumors true that you're single now? Yes, I am single. Let's link up and go to the Gentleman's Club if you're ever in Cali. Also, highly recommend bringing a couple Benjis to the massage parlor. Whoa. Hey, to the feds. I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about no massage parlors. I don't know nothing about them Benjis. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, boss. Thank you. Thank you to Hail Mary, who says, Marianne Williamson wants to have a Department of Peace. Your thoughts? That's hilarious. That's a wholesome thing for her to say, but Department of Peace, like, what does that really entail? Is it going to be funded by anything? I think we can have more peace in the society without having the bureaucracy. We don't need bureaucracy for peace and kind acting, but I like the thought process behind it. Okay. All right. The number to call, 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. If Skype doesn't work right, don't blame me. Blame the white man. You know it's not my fault. Let's keep on rocking and rolling. And again, Happy New Year to you guys. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and Monday will be January 1st, 2024. Don't forget it. All right. Now, what's the Benji? Don't even worry about it. You know, if you missed it, don't even worry. All righty, Matt, what's going on?
Anthony, what's good?
Everything's good, man. What's happening?
Hey, can you hear me?
I hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what's funny about how people disagree on what the Civil War was about and how it started? Can you name any war that people sort of agree about how it started and why we did it?
Not
any war?
And nah, I can't.
War on Terror, Vietnam. It feels like every single one is highly debated.
Yeah, especially like the War on Terror, because WMDs, did they exist? Did they not exist? Did it make sense to go into it? Even World War I, World War II, what was the moment that caused it? Why did it happen? What led up to it? It's people try to make things so simple. This whole TikTok brain, they want just a quick one-word answer. They want a 5-second explanation, but it's not quite that simple.
Yeah, why is it that if you question the Civil War's origins and stuff like that, it's so taboo compared to all the other ones that it seems okay to get on?
Because it involves slavery. That's why. And they say if you question that, you're racist, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I'm getting ready to question it, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. So there's a great quote by Patrick Cleburne. So he was a Confederate general. He's pretty much a top dog. But the Confederacy was planning Emancipation Proclamation prior to the North doing it. So he said, and he wrote a whole letter to all the Confederate Army, and he was trying to say he's making the case for basically giving clemency to all slaves if they would pick up arms and fight. And he said, a quote, "It is said that Republicans cannot exist without the institution." Oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I've lost the quote. I'll find it again, but I'll throw up a stat for you. Okay, it is said that slavery is all we are fighting for, and we cannot give it up at all. Even if it were true, which we deny, slavery is not all our enemies are fighting for. It is merely the pretense to establish sectional superiority in a more centralized form of government and to deprive us of our rights and liberties. So this was in his emancipation plan. And that's kind of what Vivek was talking about. You didn't understand what Vivek was saying about like the pretenses? Like Vivek even used that word in that, didn't he?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I didn't quite catch what he said related to what you just said.
Yeah, he was talking about basically the cultural and the identity pretenses. And there's a really great series by Thomas Woods called The Politically Incorrect Guide to Human History. Thomas Woods is a Princeton laureate, a Cato and a Mises historian. But he basically, it was immigration. It was all these Irish people that were coming in. They were the Republicans were worried that the Irish weren't Protestant enough and that they had allegiances to the Vatican. So all the propaganda leading up to the Civil War was basically immigration based, and nobody really cared about the slaves. So that was basically the cultural identity, and that was a lot of the pretense. So like even Cleburne was like saying, hey, the pretense of the Civil War is just, slavery just being another one. But I'm going to throw some numbers up here. So the top number is cotton as a percentage of the GDP was 5%. That's it. Slaves were 13% of the population. Slaves were underproducing. Slaves were a liability. They weren't an asset by and large. Matter of fact, it wasn't until a cotton gin that slave pick cotton was even profitable.
Okay, I got a question. Is cotton all they produce?
No, they produced other things, but cotton wasn't exclusively produced by slaves either.
So what was
there was a lot of white cotton pickers.
So what was the actual economics of slavery as far as a GDP percentage?
You signaled in on it, and it's not so much that cotton was like a cash crop that created all this wealth and everything like that. It was a crop that could be exported, and the United States just so happened to like export like 90% of it. So it was that one thing, that one good that really set the United States apart as an export. So that was the whole thing about it. You had mentioned tariffs, and there was a lot of talk about tariffs. And again, I'm not a historian or a laureate on this, but one of the greatest things about secession is that now that the South had formed a confederacy, you could impose tariffs, right?
Okay.
With them in the Union, you couldn't.
Okay.
So they could have, the North, where most of the textile factories were, could have put a tariff on the Southern pick slave cotton and subsidize that tariff with a wage pick cotton. Say, hey, we'll pay X dollars a bushel for slave pick cotton, but we'll pay a couple dollars more for ones that was wage picked. And they could have ended slavery just like that. But that's not what the Civil War is about. It just wasn't about slavery. Again, it was one of the many pretenses. So, and in terms of like looking at the war on slavery in a historical context, and then the moment that you realize that even contemporary wars, we don't agree on what the official story is. And when Vivek was saying, hey, we got to look to the future, right? Because he was invoking that a lot. What do we got? The same exact thing that was going on in the Civil War. We got basically overreaching federal government powers. We've got the use of mass immigration, whether it be the Irish Catholics or whether it be slaves, right? And people disagreeing on what we're going to end up doing with these extra people that don't share our identity. So the Civil War is important from the perspective of we're going into one.
Right on. Well, I got a lot of calls online tonight, so I got to get to
Yeah, man, you'll be good.
All right, now.
Bye.
All right, shout out to my man for the call. But yeah, of course, I'm reading the comments. The economic impact of slaves was so deep because in West Virginia, there wasn't no cotton being picked. We were in the mountains. So my ancestors, what we did was we were in the mines, coal mining and salt mining in West Virginia in the mountains. It wasn't no cotton. It was all, and then of course farming. I mean, 8 acres of farms, tobacco, all kind of stuff. Anything that was on the farm, anything that could be grown, anything that could be any kind of labor, we did. And of course, when you're talking about, even when we got to the military, at a certain point, we were doing some of the same jobs during slavery, working in the kitchen, cooking, things of this nature, cleaning. And then if you were a female, a lot of times you raising children, you were a nanny, you were in-house nanny. And a lot of us still do that kind of stuff today, which is why a lot of black women do nursing, because we did that kind of stuff during slavery as well. And it's not, I'm not trying to say that nursing is a bad thing. You can make a lot of money. I know some 6-figure girls out there that's, RN, stuff like that, traveling nurses, making big money. But a lot of that kind of stuff we did during slavery as well. So it was much deeper than that. And that's what I'm saying. When you talk about this issue, you got to talk about it deeply, because it's not just a surface level. Okay, you pick cotton. Let's go deeper. All right, let's keep on rocking here. Let's go to 215. If you don't line, who am I speaking to?
Oh, ABL, how's it going?
Everything's good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, hold on. Let me turn this down. Let me turn your stream down. I didn't expect you to pick up so easily. But yeah, ABL. So basically, I overheard what you were saying, something about Nigeria. Can you hear me clearly?
I heard you. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, you said something about Nigeria, but I wasn't really listening. And you said, I'm sorry, what were you saying about Nigeria again? Because I wasn't really listening, but it was pretty interesting what you were saying, though.
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you know what the context was?
It was basically like saying, like you basically, I heard you say you would be an immigrant if you go over to Nigeria, for the Americans who went over to Nigeria.
No, Liberia. So basically, Liberia.
Liberia, sorry about that.
Yeah. Liberia was created in, I think, 1830, right around then, by white men in America, because that was a place for Black Americans to get cast away to, basically. And the thing is, we were not native to that place because we had been in America. We are Americans. We were born in America, raised in America for generations. So when we go to Liberia, we are basically migrants over there. We're not native to that place because we're Americans at the end of the day.
That makes perfect sense. That's what I figured what you were saying. Because I heard it, but I wasn't really listening. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. But I was like, and then basically I was like, okay, that's pretty much basically everything you just said. That's probably what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I said, that's probably what he was talking about. But yeah, and let me tell you something, ABL. Honestly, I know I've probably said this before, but let me tell you something that really gets under my skin. I hate it when black people say that they are oppressed. I hate that so much. As a black person, I'm a black person. I hate when they say they're oppressed. Because it's just like there's people that's actually going through oppression. Most of the black people I know and work around and live in the community, they all own houses, own property, or majority of them do. And these are the main ones crying about they hate Donald Trump, hate oppression and all. I'm like, you guys make decent money, you own property, and you're crying about oppression?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing, and the thing about it is I won't even really worry about that kind of stuff, oppression and things of this nature. I'm like, okay, I'm in America, everybody wants to come here. You get 10,000 people per day trying to sneak into the border illegally. So how can I benefit from being native here? How can I benefit from having the blue passport? How can I help myself and help everybody else around me? That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about any kind of, just weird, soft, self-defeating kind of ideology.
He says self-defeating ideology. Yeah, that makes sense what you're saying, because there's people, like you said, there's people that's coming over here every single day, basically trying to make it in America. And because it's just like, there's people, like I already told you before, there's people in the third world countries, they're going through it. Like actual communist countries like North Korea, those are going through it. And it's like, it just makes people sound like I shouldn't let it get under my skin. It makes people sound ungrateful, spoiled, all kinds of stuff. Like they don't appreciate nothing. And you guys are living pretty good lives.
Right on, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like every time I just tell most people, like, see, we oppress, and I feel like, and maybe there might be some systems that might be against black people, or I don't know. I hear that a lot, but I feel like it's also about personal choice, like the choices you make in life. Like if you keep making poor decisions, you're gonna suffer the consequences, and you just basically make life harder for yourself. Like I think that one time you said basically like say if like the police were actually racist against black people. One of you conservatives said it might have been the Hodge twins, but it was like, why would you give the police a reason to do something to you, like go out and commit a crime or have an illegal gun on you? And basically, I got to remember exactly what they said.
Right.
So I don't want to just be talking.
No, it's all good, man. Thank you for the call as always, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for taking my call, ABL.
All right, no problem. All right, shout out to the caller. And the phone lines are blowing up. Y'all please hang tight. I'm going to get to you as soon as I possibly can. 248, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Oh, this is Rick.
All right, man. What's going on?
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. This is me.
Oh, hi. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. About yourself?
Pretty good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
The reason why I was calling was I was kind of curious. You know, you're talking about the biggest stories of 2023, and for me, the one that comes to mind, one that people may not really realize, but to me, it was BRICS and their expansion with Saudi Arabia. And starting January 1st, the U.S. dollar is going to fall off as the world reserve currency in most of the world. And I was just wondering what you thought of that.
That's a pretty big story, and I couldn't really respond to it in a short form. I think I did a video on it, but that's a pretty big thing, because if that's able to take off and they're successful with it, that's going to cause us a lot of problems over here.
The other thing was with Vivek, the Vivek Ramaswamy. Are you familiar with the thing about him being part of the WEF, World Economic Forum?
I did hear about that. I did hear about that. Yes.
Do you think? I mean, I kind of get the vibe that the guy's a kind of like a deep state answer to Trump. Do you think he's legitimate, or do you think he might be a little shady?
I mean, I like Vivek. I'm not totally 100% sold on him, but I like him more than anybody else, aside from Trump, of course. Trump is still ahead of everybody by leaps and bounds. But as far as the pool of guys we have right now, he's better than Nikki Haley. DeSantis, I had hope for DeSantis, but he's not running a good campaign. He's pretty much kind of wilted away. And Chris Christie, obviously, if it's a donut eating contest, I got him as my top guy, but not not to be the president.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I was the one that called you on your anniversary show, I think it was, about the Rush Limbaugh comparison.
Okay, I remember.
I don't know if you. I tried to get you to cry, but you didn't. You're the YouTube Rush Limbaugh for me, buddy. Seriously. And I'm not trying to get you to cry this time, but I just want to thank you for being you and for keeping up the fight.
Well, thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right. Have a good New Year, man.
Same to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Shout out to the caller. Yeah, let's keep on rocking and rolling. The phone lines are jam-packed. We're going to keep on. 860, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Bill. How you doing, brother? When they ran your Xbox out.
All right, man. What's going on?
Oh, Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year to everybody out there listening.
Happy New Year to you. Go ahead.
I just got to say, this Civil War thing, if you want to know about the Civil War, pick up a damn history book, go to the library. This is a distraction from the real issues. This is this deep state trying to guide the center of interest to what the debates are going to be about. No. I want justice for the lockdowns. I want justice for the open border. I want justice for the termination of the small businesses. I want justice for the price of gas. I want justice for the price of food. I want justice for the lack of education in the public school systems. I want justice from the United States corrupt government that's been committing treason for the past 15 years. That's what I want. Those are the issues of the 2024 election, and we, the people, need to make that known. What do you think about that, my brother?
That's definitely some good points there. I have no arguments.
I'm tired of being distracted over hairspray when they murdered the elderly in the convalescent centers, when they kicked the sick people with a virus that doctors had never seen before and deliberately put them into the retirement convalescent homes. They murdered those people. If a virus isn't a weapon of war, then why does the military train for it?
Very good question.
Dr. Fauci has finally been found out after what, 3 years?
It's been a while for sure.
The man spent $4.7 million through EcoHealth Alliance Systems, Peter Danzig, to the lab in Wuhan to create that virus. And just now, y'all have figured it out 3 years later. Congratulations. Y'all so smart there in Washington. I'm so proud of our politicians in Washington. How about you, ABL?
Yeah, not so much for me. I'm not really proud of him too much at all.
Yeah, that's why I like Trump, because he's not a politician. He's a businessman. He wants to get the country back on track, making money. I'm sorry, ABL. I'm just so worked up. I mean, this is just a psychological warfare distraction about the Civil War, because they know that America has been preconditioned for the past 60 years. The slavery is a trigger warning. They're going to keep you so busy looking at what's in the past that you're going to slam head on into the wall of slavery through their digital currency and everything else, their microchip and everything, their smart power where, I'm Al Gore and my 2006 monthly electric bill is $30,000, but you ain't allowed to spend no more than $75. So we got to cut you off this month, buddy. That's the people. That's what they want. That's what's coming. You will own nothing. Well, BlackRock's making sure of that, aren't they? Buying up all the single-family homes?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Who's the major contributor to BlackRock, ABL? Do you know? And Vanguard?
I don't.
The Bush family.
Well, there you have it. There it is.
Who was first director of the CIA?
I'm sorry now?
Granddaddy Bush.
Oh, okay.
Granddaddy Bush. Google search pictures of the Bushes, the Clintons, and the Obamas. They're all one big happy family throughout the ages, aren't they? Even though they're on different sides of the political aisle, it would seem.
It's very interesting how that works.
Very interesting how that works. And they're all tied together. But anybody that ever calls Mitt Romney a Republican doesn't know what a Republican is. There are no more Republicans than Democrats. There's only communists and Americans. And ABL, I'll close with this. How many colors does an American come in, my brother?
One, American.
3, red, white, and blue.
There you go.
You have a great night, brother. God bless.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, shout out to my man for the call. Shout out to you guys for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these interwebs. Just keep on rocking and rolling. The number to call, 434-658-1220. Let's keep on going here. 631, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, ABL. This is Ann from Long Island, New York.
All right. What's going on?
I have no idea why we're talking about slavery, but my experience now, I work in the Tanger outlets over here, okay, or as far out on Long Island as you can go, okay, Long Island, New York. Suffolk County and Nassau County declared they're not taking any illegal aliens. Well, the Tanger outlet is low. That's all that's there is illegal aliens. They cannot speak English. They all have New York City phone calls and New York City addresses, and they live in illegal apartments out here. I just thought you guys should know that. That's infuriating me because I can't speak Spanish, and that's all they can speak. But they're loaded with money. I'll tell you that. They come in with that Bank of America card. It's loaded. They come and buy $600, $700 worth of clothes, and like it's nothing. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Then they try to get the loyalty program, you know, where you get points, and I'll be like, well, what's your first name? Hey, hold on, I have to look it up. You have to look up your first name? You don't know what your first name is? The last name. Oh, hold on. Do I need to give you a social security number because I don't have one? Well, how do you have a credit card? Whose credit card is that? I can't even tell you. This is sick. I want to know why they're out here and living in illegal apartments and collecting all the benefits from New York City. We're not part of New York City. We're part of New York State. But Long Island and upstate, as I told you, is Republican. The 5 boroughs is Democrat. That's why we declared, no, we'll build a wall at the end of Nassau County going into, Queens. But this is disgusting. And the other issue I was making about New York, besides that they destroyed it, for a couple of years now, it's got to be at least 3 or 4 years, they took away all the cops and the toll guys. There's no toll booths anymore. Nobody's watching our bridges or tunnels at all. I worked 9/11 as a registered nurse, and my boyfriend was a New York City cop. And I'm like, nobody is watching our bridges and tunnels. New York. This is outrageous. I used to go to Manhattan every weekend. Had a ball. It was so much fun. And now it looks like a third world country. Now they have this disease in the water out here, all over New York. So I have filters on everything, and I drink only bottled water. But I'm like, ew, what's this, white lung disease? So very severe. It doesn't do well with any kind of antibiotic. It's resistant to it. I don't understand what's going on. I just have the feeling deep in my heart something bad is going to happen very soon. I just do. I don't even know why you're on the slavery, talking about that, because that's centuries ago. I just think it's time for Americans to become more, patriotic. Why don't we stand up for? I would die for this country. Why aren't we, protesting like the Palestinians? They're terrorists. So is Hamas in Denver. They're in Denver. There's no walk zones over there. I've been there. I didn't go in there, but I've seen them. That's been there for years, but I'm sure it's gotten worse now. But I just think that this is China doing this with the white lung disease, where it's resistant to any kind of antibiotic, and it's in our water. So like I said, I've put filters on everything, and I only drink bottled water. That's all I drink. But I don't know. I just want to know how sneaky they are. They put them out here. I think New York City knows about this. Giving them all the money on that, everything they're entitled to, They're not entitled to anything. I keep screaming it every day. They're criminals. They invaded this country. And to me, that's high treason. On the whole left side, all of them, the mayors, the governors, everybody in each blue state, including the president and Harris, who's never goes down to the southern border.
Right on, right on.
It's disgusting.
I got you. I don't want to cut you off, but I got a few more calls on the line I got to get to. So thank you for your call.
I just want to let you know they're not allowed in Long Island, but they are.
Thank you for your call. I appreciate
just letting you know. Okay, thank you.
All right, shout out to her. Shout out to the call. All right, Scott caller, who am I speaking to?
Hello.
You there, boss?
Oh, hey, ABL, Danny. How you doing, mate?
It's all good, man. What's happening?
Yeah, very good, mate. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Great show tonight.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah, so don't you think, was it, working in the coal mines was like 10 times worse than working on the fields? Don't you think?
Well, yeah, I would say so. And it depends because it's not necessarily worse. It's just different. Okay, when you're in the mine, it's not going to be like the scorching sun on you. You're not going to be. It's just a different environment. The thing about the mine is that you're going to be breathing in the coal. You might get black lung, things of that nature. But you're not going to be outside in the scorching sun, limited water. So it's equally, I would say, rough, just rough on your body differently, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes lots. But what if you're claustrophobic though?
Yeah, if you got that going on, it's going to be pretty rough.
Yeah, if I was there, I'd have been like, "Oh, just kill me now." Yeah. No, but I hear your point. Though they're both got their, they're obviously their negatives. I'm not like, obviously you're going to be extremely unhappy either way, but I just feel like, in the coal mine, no sunlight, it's all dark, you can't breathe. I think wasn't there didn't they sort of die quite young as well? Like they're sort of they didn't live as long because as you said, they got black lung and all the other type of stuff. So
yeah, and then of course I'm reading the chat. It was very dangerous too because you're underground, you're under a mountain. So if you got any kind of collapses in the tunnels, that's very dangerous, of course. But if you're out there in the field, it's a whole different environment. You out there in the sun, it's hot. You hunched over, you're gonna have all kind of injuries. A lot of times, guys will get worked to death out there, but that's a different story.
Yeah, no, that's true. So yeah, it's but you're right though. I mean, when the talk of slavery comes up, we kind of forget to mention like it wasn't just cotton picking. There was other things the slaves did, right? Like the coal mine, all types of stuff.
It was everything. Any kind of labor. This is why I say the migrants are the new slaves because they will now do these same kind of jobs. Anything you're talking about, going to a hotel, people that clean the rooms. If you go to any kind of farm, anything needs to get picked that can't be done by a machine. Any kind of fast food, back at the house, anything that's like lower kind of paid work, anything that's like minimum wage or below, that'd be done by the migrants. And it was the same way during slavery. That was done by the slaves.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I don't know how people can't work that one out. It makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you brought up that stuff from the UK, I mean, this is what we've got to put up with. Can you imagine walking around the streets and there's people walking around with zombie knives like that? Can you imagine that?
That's crazy. So is that true? Is it legal if you have that kind of knife with no writing on it?
Yeah, see, I don't know the whole intricacies of the law of like what's lawful and what's not. But again, I kind of I kind of know some of these things and what's been happening, and I've had certain experiences in my life with certain people and stuff, and it's quite popular. Like that type of knife, which they called a zombie knife, which is kind of pretty much like a machete, really, when you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely popular with the youth, with the gang culture, and these and again, these people pretty much just have sword fights, man. It's literally like the medieval times where. Again, if you're in it, I know obviously for these people, what they'll say is if they're in a gang, they'll be like, well, I've got to have one because the other people who we're fighting, who's in another gang, have one as well. So we've got to have one to protect ourselves. And then everyone says the same thing. And then it's like, well, what about us regular citizens? What about us, though? What about when regular citizens get targeted? We don't have them because we're not allowed to have them because we actually follow the law. But the thing is, it's extremely frustrating because the government doesn't do anything about it. I mean, there's no police on the streets. No one gets stopped and searched. So really and truly, we could all carry one and have one on us, but because no police is ever going to stop and search us. So it's kind of like, what do you do, AB? I don't know how you figure that one out. I mean,
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I don't know. Like, where you live. Like, do you have? Is there quite a sort of a strong police? What do you call it? Like a presence. Do you see police every day walking the streets and in cars? Is there like?
Well, I don't live in the city area necessarily. Like, I live close to the city, but where I live is more residential. It's kind of like a smaller place. So you don't see anybody walking around. It's not like you have, like, I don't live in a place where you could just have people walking around like that. So what you may see is an occasional car. Now, if you go downtown, occasionally you may see somebody walking around, but usually they be in the cars. Just kind of like, they may be in certain places just kind of parked, or they're driving. But I don't really see a huge police presence. Now, when I go to the big cities, if I go to Atlanta, for example, in certain places, I'm going to see them posted up. Already know, because they know where it's going to be crime going on. Same thing in Nashville, but more in Atlanta than anything else.
Yes, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I guess in a more populated city, you should have, yeah, but here we don't. I mean, I live in North London, very densely populated area, but you do not see. It's very rare you'll see a police car drive past you, but you have to quickly take a picture because you're like, you might not see them for another year. It's like, it's insane. And back in my parents' day, they would always tell me about. They used to call them bobbies on the beat, which meant police officers walking around your area, and they would always have that. They would always see police officers walking around their neighborhoods, building relationships with people, making them feel safe. And if something did kick off, they could sort of intercept it on the spot. But again, that's not been like that for ages now. And again, I don't have the answers. I don't know what else you do. Apart from, look, we all get to carry on, none of us do. And if you're saying we can't, then the police need to do something about it, right? So,
absolutely.
But yeah, no. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Don't want to take up too much time. Yeah. Thanks again. Great show, ABL. And yeah, enjoy the new year, mate. Hope you have a good one.
Thanks for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
All right. Take care, mate. See ya. Bye. Bye.
All right, shout out to my main man Danny over there in the UK. Big up UK them. I gotta get my UK voice down. I got the Australian, I got the street London guy thing going on. I gotta get my UK accent down. That's my goal for the new year. I can't say it because I'm getting tired. My resolution for the new year. There we go. New resolution. What I'm going to do is work on my London, UK accent. And by this time next year, I want to have my London, UK accent down pat. 504, don't know who I'm speaking to.
Hey, ABL. It's Alien Spaceship.
All right, man. What's going on?
All right. A great stream of shout out to the callers. And also, I like the Civil War history you were discussing. It goes with the things I learned about also.
Right on.
Right. And also, Matt was saying some interesting stuff. And yeah, I do think that they may be asking the candidates these questions because they want to rouse people and get people emotional about stuff that's going on, perhaps causing a distraction. I think that is possible, very likely. And also, I do think, the Civil War, it had a couple of different reasons why it happened. And I think that the situation at the border and the crisis in the country, I think should really be focused on what the questions they should be asking them about, because that is something that pertains to the modern time period.
Yeah, it's weird when they could just ask these kind of random questions out of the clear blue. It's kind of strange to me.
Right. And also, it's like asking about the bombing of Pearl Harbor or something or the war in China back in the 1800s or something, or the Opium Wars. It's like they're trying to distract people. And I think that definitely with this administration, the Border Patrol has been extremely weak in helping the people, bringing them in practically. And their people are, overrunning the borders and they're all coming in. And before with Trump, he was able to get them out and, not have them all come in illegally. And I think it's unfair to the people that a variety of different countries, like people that came here legally, they went through all this stuff to come here, and these other people could just come through and without any effort.
Yeah, I know people are pretty upset that they have to do this. They have to go through the legal process, pay a bunch of money, wait a long period of time, and then people who don't do any of that can just skip around the line and come through for a fraction of the price. It's got to be pretty frustrating to see something like that going on.
Exactly. And I think there's an increased homeless issue going on throughout the country, and people that are, having struggles paying for different things. And then as time goes on, it's going to cause even more problems like what happened in Germany, and hopefully it doesn't get that bad. And also, I think that it's very unconstitutional, in my opinion, for them to try to take Trump off all these ballots, because they know whatever they tried with the trials, with all the slander they did to him, like none of that worked to get people against him. And this is another illegal act, in my opinion, of trying to take him off all these ballots all over the country. And I think it's certainly, I don't think that's going to work out for them.
Yeah, it's not going to work out too well for him. I mean, I think really what's happening right now is they're just giving Trump more publicity, because what they're doing is not going to actually hold up in court. And at the end of it, all you did was just create attention around the situation without the actual action of having them removed from the ballot.
Exactly. I remember I was looking up some things about Trump and about how he does things, and we're talking about in chat how all of this is just going to help him in his cause to get him even more popular than before. It's only going to do the opposite effect, because those that are angered by Trump to do all these things, they're really just feeding his agenda, really.
Exactly, 100%.
Right. And I think that, it would be good to see, hopefully, he, comes back in and fixes everything. And I would like to see more of these people on both sides, like the rhinos and the bad Dems, being exposed, and draining the swamp. That would be great.
That'd be amazing. Absolutely.
Right. And also, Happy New Year's to ABL, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for the call. Happy New Year to you.
Okay, bye.
All right, shout out to my man. Great call. 773, you don't line. Who am I speaking to?
ABL, it's your retired Chicago police officer friend. Thanks for taking my call, and Happy New Year to you, ABL, and to everybody that listens to you also.
Thank you.
ABL, I always enjoy Danny's calls, and I'd like to say why you don't see the police as much anymore. And that's because in police work, people sometimes don't understand that once you make an arrest, you go on a call, and we have, numerous calls. Each police officer has numerous calls in a night or in a day. But once you make an arrest, you are off the game board. If you want to think of it as a game, you are off the game board and out of commission, because some people think you make an arrest, you take the guy to the station, you drop him off at the station, and the station handles everything, and then you go back out on the street. That is not the case. You, as an individual policeman, I'll say it for myself, me as an individual policeman, I am arresting somebody. He might have shot somebody, he might have stole something, he might have, hurt somebody, whatever it is. I am arresting him in my name. It's my name on that report. I determined that he has done something that warrants his arrest. I have now taken away his rights of movement and everything else. You're under arrest. I don't care if you were on your way to your mother's funeral, that you have the biggest lecture of your life tomorrow, you have to sleep in. Whatever you had planned has stopped, and you are under arrest and going to jail. And because you make that decision as a policeman, you are doing all the paperwork. It is hours and hours of paperwork to do the arrest. There are the complaints, there's the report, there's the arrest report, there's the case report, there's inventories with the stuff he has on him. All these things, all this paperwork, it needs to be done before you ever go back out to take another call. When you defund the police like they did, really what they did by defunding the police is they funneled money for the police to these other social programs like, you know, a psychiatrist and, you know, these mental health programs, but they are not the ones responding to the raw things as they happen, the raw domestic or whatever it might be as it's happening. You need the police to respond to these things. And when you defund the police, there's less police force. There are thousands less Chicago policemen than when I started almost 25 years ago. I'm retired now, as most of you know. But there are thousands and thousands of less policemen. So that means as you do your job and you go on these calls and you're taken off the game board, suddenly it's a ghost town. I've told you that before, ABL. There have been times when I was the only officer between, you know, in the wee hours when shifts are changing and everything else. People are tied up on arrest and everything else. And you have one or two policemen for huge areas in a big city, dangerous city like Chicago. And that's because you haven't hired enough people, let alone the people that are qualified, let alone the people that even want the job anymore with the stigma that it brings in society nowadays. So this is the problem. This is the problem of defunding the police. Crime goes up and there's not enough people around, let alone the climate of today's society where a lot of policemen now start to look at the odds and say, hey, my odds increase of getting in trouble or getting arrested and all that for nonsense, right? For just, you know, kind of being put into a trick bag. So I am going to limit my, activity with people. I'm not going to want to be around people. So unless I'm called and I have to go to this call, I am not going to drive around to be exposed to people that might complain on me and get me, everybody hates the police nowadays. So that's the problem with that, ABL. And one other thing I wanted to say about Trump is that, they are doing these things to Trump with the insurrection and taking him off the ballots. It's just a way of harassing him and piling things on that they know will go nowhere. A first-year law student would know that those, the thing that they based taking Trump off the ballot is not based in any kind of legal thing. It's just an harassment tactic. There was this guy, Donald Segretti, that was convicted for Watergate and that was in the Nixon administration brought in. His one sole thing was doing dirty tricks against the opponents. You just throw so much mud against the wall like they have with Trump, and that it's all nonsense. But the cumulative factor is to really put his campaign into jeopardy. And that's what those tricks that they're trying to do with Trump. And I hate to see it. Anyway, ABL, I know it's the end of the show. And Happy New Year. Thanks for always taking my call and listening to me. And I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
If I appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, to you too, ABL. Thanks.
All right. Fantastic call. And that will be a wrap for me. Thank you guys for being here yet again. I really appreciate y'all. I'll be back live again next year, of course. That'll be next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat place, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to right around right now, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back with more pre-recorded videos all throughout the week. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a 2023 wrap-up, some of the biggest stories. While I was taking the phone calls and whatnot, I was looking at some stories that were some of the top ones, like the submersible. That was a big one. There's quite a few things I'm gonna put a top 10. I'm gonna do a top 10 stories of 2023, and I'm gonna put that out tomorrow. So yeah, that's gonna be a video I'll put out. I might put out a couple more, but I'm here all throughout the week putting out pre-recorded content. So thank you for being here. And of course, I'll be back again live on Wednesday of next year. That'll be this coming week. 2024. Again, Happy New Year to you guys. The new year is on Monday. So New Year's Eve is tomorrow. Where I am right now, it'll be in about an hour. It's a little past 11 o'clock on the East Coast. And let's wrap it on up, put the bow on top. You guys are the best audience anywhere on the internet. So I could not do the show without you. Thank you to everybody who is watching, retweeting, super chatting. I really, really appreciate you for what you're doing. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these interwebs. Shout out to the mods for keeping the trolls in check. I appreciate you. Could not do it without you. Oh, and this is a podcast you're listening to right now. It'll be available on your favorite audio streaming platform, whether that be Google Play, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, etc. Link for that will be in the description box, or just go to your favorite audio streaming platform and search ABL Live. I should pop right on up. Alrighty, did I get to everybody? I got a few more super chats here I'm going to read. Then again, to wrap it on up, put the bow clean on top. Thank you to LXDX, who says, number one 2023 news was illegal migrant takeover. I will definitely be covering something related to that. Thank you to Love Live Serve, who says, in the New Year's Eve plans, boss, I never go out on New Year's, ever. Well, I'm not going to say never. I've not done that since I've been a young man, since I've been like in my early 20s, because let me tell you something about New Year's Eve, and nothing against anybody. No hate. Don't nobody get offended. On New Year's Eve, you get a lot of amateurs that never go out. So people can't drive. It's like going Christmas. It's like going to the mall on Christmas. People that have never driven before, all of a sudden when they drive right now, they go get Christmas gifts. It's like, have you never driven before? Do you know what roads are? Do you know what a roundabout is? Do you know what signals are? Do you know what a traffic signal is? Like, what's going on? Are you just now getting into a car for the very first time and driving? What's happening? Same thing, but going out on New Year's. People don't know how to act. They don't know how to behave. They don't know their limits. They're driving crazy. I stay in the crib. Okay. Back when I was a young man, what I would do, I would go to the beach. That was our main. Go to the beach. Go just somewhere, and it's always somebody shooting in the air. Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't want to have bullets rain down on me. Shout out to Kurt Franklin. Anyway, I'm cool. I'm going to be at the house watching the ball drop. All righty. I'm at the house watching the ball drop, most likely. Shout out to Matthew Richardson, who says, even Thomas Jefferson lost money on his slaves. Thank you to Love Live Serve, who says, ABL, hold on. What do you think your thoughts on Tariq Nasheed? Okay, my thoughts on Tariq Nasheed, on his FBA movement. Do you subscribe to the delineation? I'm not a fan of Tariq Nasheed and what he's doing, because I think his whole FBA thing is just like another form of gang banging. And he lives in LA. He knows some of the homies, although he's from Alabama, interestingly enough. But he's just replicating LA gang street culture and putting it into a so-called positive movement. Because what's happening here is you have FBAs versus ADOS, which is the same thing. You have American descendants of slaves, and then you have foundational Black Americans. It's the same people who have been here since slavery. So why is your group better than the other group, which is the exact same people? And then that's being used to categorize you away from people who have a Haitian grandmama or something like that. To me, it's kind of dumb. It's dumb. It's a way to just divide Black folks in America into little groups. Ultimately, look, if you're an American, regardless of what. And I think maybe the thing is about reparations, that ain't never going to happen. Tariq Nasheed, Umar Johnson, good luck with that. Look, whenever there's another group that wants something, okay, anti-Asian hate bill. They said, I got slapped in the head 5 times in New York City. Give me a hate bill right now from the federal government. Okay, there you go. Take that. Instantly. It took 6 months of them saying they get beaten in the head by Black folks. Here's an anti-Asian hate bill. You got it. When it comes to the illegal aliens, you see what's happening right now with Chicago, with New York City, or whatever. Okay, look, I don't want to immigrate legally. I'm going to force my way into the country. Now I'm getting asylum status. Now I'm getting benefits. Now I'm getting the check. Now I'm getting fake ID cards. Oh, yeah, that happened here in Tennessee. They were giving out fake ID cards straight from the DMV to thousands of illegal aliens, allegedly. So not only are you getting fake ID cards and you're getting real ID cards, and you might be able to vote. This migrant crisis just happened within the past 18 months. Done. Now, black folks, reparations, been a discussion since 1865. We're now going into 2024 with nothing. Whatever we got is whatever we got. Welfare benefits, okay, that's all you're going to get. ABL, everybody gets that, I know, but it ain't going to be nothing else. Again, other groups ask for things and they get them immediately. Black folks always ask for things, reparations, and they never get it. And a big part of the reason is because we can't afford it, first of all, but second of all, we keep voting for the same people without really requiring it. We'll ask for a thing from the Democratic Party, don't get it, and still vote for them. Make that make sense. But I digress. All right. Nah, but see, the anti-Asian hate bill, you're missing the point. The point is that other groups can ask for things and they get it. Well, here's a better explanation, extra ill. How about this? The migrants. We spent $250 billion with a B, $250 billion on the migrant crisis in 18 months from the federal government. $250 billion. Hey, I want to just skip the line. I don't want to be a legal resident. I want to be an asylum seeker, although I'm not really. I want to get into the country. I'm going to bar my way. I'm going to go right to the border. I'm going to sneak through a little cut in the wall. I'm going to go past some barbed wire. No problem. Cool. You're going to get housing, food, clothing, shelter, whatever you need, you got it. And we're going to spend from the federal rallies $250 million just in the past 18 months. You want reparations? Good luck with that. You're not getting anything. I'm not saying we shouldn't get it, but my point is that the whole thing about FBAs versus ADOs is dumb because ultimately what you're asking for, you're never going to get it. Never going to get it. Never going to get it. Shout out and vote. Anyway, I digress. Thank you, Slender Roland Charming, for your donation with the cheering emoji. I appreciate that. Thank you to Ryan Henderson, who says, Happy New Year. I want a better 2024. Watch and pray. Keep up the good work. ABL, thank you for that. I appreciate you, boss. Shout out to F Ranger Xbox, who says, illegal aliens have been busted trying to fly home for the holidays. Hilarious. They going on vacation? That's crazy. How are you going to be fleeing a dangerous nation and you want asylum, but then you go on vacation? That's nuts. Shout out to F Ranger Xbox, who says, in China, knives have serial numbers and are chained to the kitchen counter. That's crazy. Thank you to Cherry Q43, who says, slaves were never loaded in money by slave masters like these illegals are getting. So what grade of future slaves are they because they're getting paid? The point is that they do the work that people who are just regular citizens don't want to do. They're creating an underclass. That's the whole point. Whereas they could pay, like, for example, you got this whole movement, fight for 15, fight for 20 or whatever. They're not going to be doing that. They'll get paid under the table. You see them, you see these guys right now. A lot of people that are building houses. Let me just say this. And also, you got a few things here, Cherry Q43. I'm going to answer your question. She also says, or I can't see you. You might be a female or male if you I can't see your face. Don't forget, he gave blacks colorful crack pipes. Let me ask you a question. When you go to any kind of construction site, when you go to a subdivision with houses and you see who's building it, it's all Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans, Guatemalans, etc., Central Americans, and these guys are getting paid $10 an hour to do that kind of stuff. How many guys that are serious people in America that are Americans and work construction want to get paid $10 an hour to do some roofing? You see what I'm saying? That is what I'm talking about. The whole idea of slavery, emotion aside, was to have labor for the cheapest price possible. Free, cheap, whatever. It's the same thing with the migrants. It's the same thing with the Hispanics, illegal aliens, or whatever. They'll be doing those same jobs. Okay? That's what you're going to see. That's the point I'm making. As a way to shore up the the economy, because that's kind of in shambles right now, and also as a way to bring in more people. We have very low birth rate in this country, quiet as kept. You need about 2.1 to 2.3 in the West to achieve replacement. And make a long story short, if you go below replacement in your birth rate as a nation, you're going to decline in population. White started about 1.4, and quiet as kept, black started about 1.8, maybe 1.9. You would think if you watch television, the welfare babies, that you got a lot of black women that are out here having a bunch of kids, popping them out like popcorn left and right. That's not true. That's not true. You got a lot of abortion happening. Half of the black population not even here. Abortion is mostly targeting black women in the urban areas. 90% of abortion clinics are right there in the ghetto next to black and brown neighborhoods. So we are at about 1.8 birth rate in the black community, which is below replacement. So bringing in the migrants, you're going to shore up your numbers, reduce population, and they're going to work for lower prices under the table to do things like build houses and make up beds and hotel rooms and cook food in restaurants, things of this nature. That's what they're going to do. Anyway, working in grocery stores, that's what it is. Also, shout out to John Medeski, who says, when I was in elementary school, a cop would come and read us some book stories once every couple of years. It did not reach out back then. All right, that'll be a wrap for me. I don't want to get too long-winded. Shout out to you guys. I'm going to do my, not live, I'm going to do my 2023 wrap-up show pre-recorded tomorrow, so look out for that. But that'll be a wrap for me. So until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out, and peace.